What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOverGreggy show. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Hi, Greg.
And on the rare occasion, you're not in the Heather Gray shirt.
You're wearing my shirt
I
now.
know. Well, that's my shirt, too. Now, come on. We all like the Thimbleweed Park shirt.
I know, but
you
like,
look best in it. I'll agree.
Thank
Tim,
you.
the pure one, Gettys.
It's good to be back at this table.
This table? You're happy to be
been a
back at it? Yeah. Are you offended that he's wearing your shirt?
No, I'm not offended, but I mean, this just like
I'll tell you,
quadruples the chances of us wearing the same shirt.
I'll be honest, I don't even know how I got this shirt. I have no idea where this shirt came from. I looked at it, I'm like, I got a plane flight later today. It looks like a comfortable shirt. I was right.
It is a comfortable shirt.
It actually fits very well. And
Thank
it does
you,
a couple
Ron
things
Gilbert.
that I like that I think that everyone who's making shirts for people in the video game industry should do.
Okay.
The shirt should be slightly wider than it's supposed to be. And the arms should be slightly higher than they're supposed to be because that makes your biceps look bigger. That's just the way it goes.
I'm such a big fan of this shirt that no lie, last night I ordered 2 more from the website. Because I want to.
Damn.
The problem is they don't wash well.
No,
Oh,
they
yeah?
don't.
Is it losing its luster?
It's losing the luster, but I like it so much. I mean, it's a show off.
It was
shirt.
one of those things that I remember during E3 week, I think on the way down there you were wearing it, and then it popped up 2 days later in the rotation. I was like, that can't be washed.
Yeah.
But you just look so good in it.
Oh, that's no. You don't wash things after one wear. That's how you lose their luster.
When
Greg.
you sweat like Greg and Kevin, you do. Come here, Kev. Come here, big Kev. Give me that sweaty pan. There it is. Bam.
Just to put it out there, if you don't wash it, it won't fade. I mean, if you don't dry it, rather. So if you wash it and hang dry it, it'll be fine.
But if you hang dry, any way you go, you're gonna. If you put it if you put it on,
Big wood hanger. You got to put on
then
a big
it's
wood
gonna
hanger.
do the thing. It's gonna slouch. Your neck's gonna get all stretched out. It's
No,
gonna
no,
be
no.
like that flash
Here's what
dance
you do.
thing she wears.
This is. I've learned this because my wife is an expert at this point. Wash on cold, get it out. You got to go underneath the shirt, so through the shirt with a hanger up to the neck, so you're not stretching out the neck as you put it in.
No, God, what kind of savage goes in that way?
You learn the hard way.
Good Lord, who would
then
ever do that?
And then you just hang it up, and in this cold San Francisco weather, it dries in a couple days.
Yeah,
it's fine.
So that's the problem. I'm in Daly City.
Yeah.
So there's no fucking chance of that thing drying. It's just gonna mildew and rot and disappear before anything happens.
Well, then you're gonna be Kevin and just wear the mildew shirt
Yeah,
and act
no,
like nothing's wrong.
that's
with
what he
it.
does.
Over here, the pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
It was only a month, Kevin.
It was only a month of that they were left in the dryer and everything smelled like mildew.
What else is supposed to do?
What's that supposed to do?
He makes the
He's been drinking straight vodka all day long. It happens. Sometimes that happens. If you didn't know, this is the Game Over Greggy show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table, each bring a random topic discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny, where we post the show early. You can get it there, along with a bunch of exclusive goodies and cool things if you have bucks to toss our way. If you have no bucks to toss, it's no big deal. Wait for it over on youtube.com/kindafunny, where we put it up topic by topic, day by day, until the entire thing posts as one big MP3 in video for your viewing/listening enjoyment. Colin,
Yes.
begin.
So I don't know what this topic's really going to be about. I mean, it's going to be it's spurred on by the Senate's vote on guns yesterday. And while we're recording this, people will hear it a little later. And I kind of got a little annoyed at this point about the resistance of both sides to just meet in some respect in the middle anywhere with anything that's going on. So basically, what happened for people that, I'm sure everyone knows, this mass shooting in Orlando. We have mass shootings in the United States on a fairly regular basis. This is the bloodiest mass shooting in American history from a criminal point of view. I mean, there are, whatever. So they, as is often the case, like after Sandy Hook or after San Bernardino or after Columbine or whatever, like especially after Columbine, when really this stuff kind of started getting into the public consciousness. The people get upset, and then there's an attempt at legislation or like an attempt to change or fix something to make guns, not get in the hands of people that don't have them, or whatever now, or shouldn't have them. And yesterday, everything failed in the Senate that they tried to pass. Basically,
What were they trying to pass?
So they were trying to pass, I think, 4 amendments, basically 4 pieces of disparate legislation that would, amongst other things, like stop a person from being on the terrorist watch list from being able to buy a gun. Obviously a lot of this stuff goes back to mental health as well. So basically just like more rigorous standards for background checks and stuff like that for guns. Closing the gun show loophole, basically, where you can go to gun shows and avoid background checks or avoid like any sort of like waiting period. So there's like all these different loopholes. Now, I'm fiercely pro Second Amendment, and I actually have no problem with a person even having an assault rifle. That doesn't bother me at all. There are millions of assault rifles in the United States, and nothing's, as I've said in the past, I think I said it on a conversation with Colin, like gun violence in the United States is not nearly as bad as people make it sound when you look at the numbers. There are more guns than there are people in the United States. And so I'm not saying that any shooting is okay, but when you look at 325 million people, probably like 400 million guns, probably 100 million of those are fucking automatic. So and like these happen a few times a year. So I'm not excusing it. What I'm saying is that like it could be way fucking worse. I think 99.999% of gun owners are totally fine. But on the other side, I see like a situation developing where there's just excuses being made and no legislators want to do any hard work and no one wants to solve any problems. And the big hang up with the gun legislation being passed, especially with the terrorist watch list, which I think is valid, is that the terrorist watch list is just a list of people that the federal government puts together with no due process. So if you're on the list, then you can't go into a gun shop and buy your gun. And I'm like, okay, like that needs to be fixed. That's not okay. And then I kind of thought about it, and this is when I kind of went on my Twitter tirade yesterday where I'm like, why don't they just fix all of the problems? Like, it's your job to fix the problem. So instead of saying like, well, there's due process problems with this legislation, can't do anything about that, and then everyone goes back to their districts or whatever, or go back to their home states. Why don't you like stay there and be like, all right, how do we fix this problem? How do we make the terrorist watch list transparent and you can have an appeals process and all these kinds of things? Random people find their names on this list. So I totally get like,
is it a cart before the horse issue? In the fear that like, well, if we're going to move on this and part of it hinges on that, then we need to fix that before we do this.
Yeah, I mean, but like the point is that like, why not have legislators that actually want to legislate? Like fix the fucking problem. I think we let go of
that a long time ago.
Yeah, but this is kind of the issue I was coming up with, is that like the fact is that owning a gun in the United States is a sacred right. It's not going anywhere. Anyone who thinks that like banning guns is going to happen in the United States in any case, it's never going to happen. Never in a fucking million years is going to happen. Not only is it like a legislatively huge heavy lift for this to happen, you need 2/3 of the Senate, 2/3 of the House, which never happens, and then you need 3/4 of state legislatures, which is never going to happen. And the intention of that was to make it really hard. That's why it's only happened like, a handful of times since the Bill of Rights. So what I really started to get mad at was being called out on Twitter as being a fake conservative or not a constitutionalist, because I dared to say like, why are we okay as a society having these loopholes? And why are we okay as a society having the ability of someone on a terrorist watch list to get a gun? And why do we make excuses and then pretend like these excuses, these problems, which are valid, like a due process Fifth Amendment problem, can't be solved with other legislation? In other words, like we've gotten to this really bizarre point where everyone is just, it's getting worse than ever, where like a mass shooting can't even bring us all together and like make us solve problems. And I think there's a disingenuousness on both sides for sure. I think like when you hear the stats of like, there are so many, 30, 40,000 gun deaths a year. I'm like, bullshit, there are in the United States. No, there aren't. Most of those are suicides and most of those are accidents. And then most of the murders are done with pistols, not with machine guns or with semi-automatic weapons. Right. So like we have to have honest statistics about that as well, to not inflate the numbers and make it seem like it's way worse. Like I said, when people think they're coming over here, it's like the Wild West. Like, give me a break. It's a totally normal country, like the normal Western European country you come from, or Australia, or any of those kinds of things.
But I mean, why wouldn't those numbers count? I mean, if it's accidents or suicides or whatever, they still have access to guns, whether it's pistols or automatics. Like,
why
still have guns?
What is the? I don't understand what you're even arguing. They're arguing gun violence as in like people going down and mowing people down, and I'm saying that a person.
I mean, are they just arguing?
Yeah, they are
deaths by guns.
No, I mean the insinuation in these statistics is anyone who knows that looks at these statistics is that the numbers are padded, obviously padded. But this is neither here nor there. The situation is that even if we are able to solve just one instance of a mass shooting, shouldn't we try to at least ameliorate like the issues, the legislative or practical or logistical issues of making sure that like when you go to a gun show, like maybe you should have to go through the same rigors of getting a gun at a gun shop, or if you're on a terrorist watch list and the terrorist watch list is constitutional, which it's not right now, that you might have a problem buying a gun. In other words, why are we so consistently obnoxious as a society with this stuff?
Because politics are broken.
Where these things happen, and like what is it going to take? Like what is it like really going to take? Sandy Hook was really the line. I mean, everyone knew that Sandy Hook was the line. When that didn't change anything, everyone was like, well, this is like people were like, this is never going to change. Like if Sandy Hook didn't change it, this will never change. And so to me, it's there's so much lying and disingenuousness, and no one wants to meet in the middle and be like, well, we're never going to solve all of these problems, and like Americans have a right to have guns, and they're probably going to have these guns for in perpetuity, but can we do something? Can we just do something? And then when these things happen, we know that we did everything we could, to try to stop it. It's still going to happen, but maybe it won't happen as frequently.
I don't think any of this is solved or even in motion for another 5 to 10 years. I think the next election cycle is the first start of it, when you have politicians finally waking up to the fact that normal people can run, that the message of I am an outsider and I don't have influences and I don't have lobbyists resonates with the audience. I think you see that right now with Bernie. I think you see it with Trump outside of the establishment. And I think a lot of young politicians are looking at it, they're going like, oh, that can work, and it can work in my local district. It doesn't have to be on a, countrywide level. It can be what I'm trying to do locally here. And I think as you see those people come to it, they hopefully start to bring rational thought again. They hopefully start to come to it where it's not political backwash of all this stuff of trying to do this to get that, to fix that, to do this. I mean, politics are broken. That's why I've never understood your enjoyment of them or interest in them. It's just not fun to watch. Nothing changes. I don't trust any of them. And why can't they do this? Because they're not in it for the right reasons. They're not in there to govern the people. They're not in there to represent the people. They're in there to keep their job and keep this going, and hopefully one day play the system so they get to a bigger role, to a bigger place, to have more fame, to have more of this. I just don't see anybody doing it for the right reasons anymore. I don't believe in anybody. And this is one of the reasons why, is exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, they can't come together on something after Sandy Hook. And that's the thing. You thought that would change it, and it didn't. And so here we are with Orlando, and it's not nearly as big a deal, even though the numbers are bigger. It's not nearly as big a deal as Sandy Hook was, which was you couldn't go anywhere or talk to anyone about it. Now it's almost like one of those things like, oh yeah, that sucks. Oof, America's still being America. Let's see what's happening in the presidential race.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Greg, right? Which I think the reason why a lot of this is a huge issue, and that why they can't affect change, is because the people that really do care to have the change not affected are the lobbyists or the interest groups like the NRA, where they've got a united front, and all they have to do is make sure something doesn't happen. Whereas we'd have to mobilize a vast majority of our population to make sure something does happen. And so the long and short of it is because people actually don't care. Like, they like to say they care, but they don't care.
Our thoughts and prayers.
Right. Exactly. Right. Like, life is hard right now. It's complicated, and we all are very, very busy. And when these things happen, we generally feel them as a public, but they're not galvanizing enough for us to actually care. Because I guarantee a week from now, no one will be talking about that. And it's a shame. It's a crying shame that people don't think that this is a problem. But we just won't. I mean, history, look at the last 3 years, there's been so many crazy things that have happened. Paris, like all these things have happened, and we just don't. They really don't affect our day to day, so we really don't care.
It's back to what we've had this conversation here before or whatever, but I mean, it's this fractured view, and there's too much media, there's too many ways to get away from media, there's too many things to only be interested in what you're interested in, right? Like 9/11 mattered and united the country because it was an attack on us, and everyone watched it on live TV. You did not get away from that. That's all that happened, and that's all that was there, and that's all you talked about. And now, literally, I woke up, I tweeted, we're on West Coast, I woke up, I tweeted our E3 schedule, and somebody hit me up and said, really, Greg, now? And I was like, what? I just said question mark back, and then somebody started arguing with him about, well, why would he care about, this is E3 is still happening, and Orlando doesn't matter. And I was like, Orlando, wait, we're talking about the voice girl who was killed over the weekend? And then I had to dig into it, like, oh no, this is happening, and my Twitter feed wasn't speaking about it. But granted, I woke up and took a glance at the front page before tweeting about E3. I wasn't digging into it. Clearly, people were talking about it. But that's the thing, right? Like, it becomes a footnote in every E3 press conference. Hey guys, we're going to talk about toys here in a second, but first, thoughts and prayers are with everybody. Not a bad move, don't get me wrong, but if 9/11 just happened, if 9/11 happened right before E3, E3 would have been fucking canceled. Everybody would have said there are more important things going on right now.
Well, it also
but the death
from
of
a security standpoint too.
Sure, of course, yeah. But SmackDown was like 2 days later. That was a big deal. I remember Vince McMahon very excited to be the first live event after 9/11.
Yeah, people needed entertainment.
And that's true. We did. I mean, that was like 3 fucking days of mourning and like just nothing but horrible stuff. Sure. But the 50 lives or whatever in Orlando don't count as much anymore when there is this fractured thing and there's this industry event and there's all these different things going on. And it's not that I'm knocking E3. I'm not knocking the companies. I'm not knocking us for doing it. It's our time. It's our job. That is the Super Bowl of the thing. But that's the other thing too, right? Like, what would have happened if something like this happened? There'd be a moment of silence in the Super Bowl, and then it'd be, all right back to football. Let's get back to what we really care about. Mm-hmm. We care about this and the commercials and this. We care about this and the games and the commercials for games. Like, that's the world we live in right now, where there is so much turnover. And when is something going to change? I think it has to start grassroots, and it's going to start super small, and it's going to start be really, 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 really fucking slow, as you're already seeing. Like, it needs to be right now that every disenfranchised young Bernie Sanders supporter now comes out and doesn't leave politics, but says, all right, let's find local people to bring up. Let's go. And that's years and years and years of journeying to try to get rational people back in there who aren't going to sit there and filibuster for 18 hours about something stupid when they could just fucking sit down and do it. That's the whole problem with politics, is that everybody's forgotten why they're there. They're there for the betterment of us as a country. And they're not. Now they're there in the right versus the left, in I'm right, you're wrong, that we're going to sit here and we're going to argue and we're not going to give up any ground and we're not going to do this and we're going to treat it like professional wrestling. And so like, yeah, I don't look to them to solve anything.
I also think there is a huge component in our society where ignorance is bliss, right?
Sure.
Where if you look at what's happened over the last few years, right? I mean, let's say the last 10 years, we've had a massive, massive economic meltdown that could have been cataclysmic for the world, right? It's happening again. No one cares, right? Nothing was affected at all by that. No policies. No one got put in jail. Just fuck it, right? It's fine. Everything's status quo. We're totally good, right? The government is listening to every single thing we do, reading every single email, listening to every phone call. And I'm not talking from a metadata standpoint. I mean, everything we say right now is being recorded and filtered. Well, obviously it is. Hi. But on our phones, in our text messages, that's all being recorded and filtered and put in records someplace. Could very easily be used against us in the future. We could very easily, that data could be misguided or misused to put us on terrorist lists, to put us in jail. Doesn't matter. No one cares about that. That story came. Everyone was in an upgrade. You know, Google, Apple, all these places are giving over our data. No one cares about that, right? So why should we care as a society then when someone dies across, for all intents and purposes, the continent, the world from us, right? It's just a sad state of affair. Like you can't blame legislators for this because they're just humans too. And at the end of the day, all they're going to do is do whatever keeps that status quo because their job is to keep everyone happy, and everyone's happy being ignorantly or blissfully ignorant with all this stuff. We just don't want to think about it because at the end of the day, I have to worry about how I have to pay rent. I have to worry about how I'm going to retire. I have to worry about my wife's happiness, my friend's happiness, my business. And I just don't have any more room in my brain to think about how we're all going to take on this Herculean effort of changing gun control in this country or doing away with laws that allow the government to basically spy on every single aspect of us. It's too big of a hurdle. So what do? We go, that sucks. Thoughts and prayers are with you. I'm changing my little icon on Facebook and Twitter for a week so I can prove that I'm human. And then after when I see everyone else stop changing that, I'll change it back. And that's it.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
That's the problem, though.
We have ourselves to blame.
What you're saying is like, we have our jobs and we're doing our stuff, but it's the legislators' jobs to do all that stuff. And it's kind of like people can rely on us to cover E3. We're going to do that. But it's just kind of sucks that we can't rely on them. I don't understand this stuff, so it's like, what am I supposed to do? I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. We all talk about how we're just sitting here doing nothing. What should I be doing? I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Well, I mean, we should be calling our congressperson.
But see, that's the whole thing is I don't trust them to change to do anything because I'm not throwing millions of dollars at them.
Right, but the fact of the matter is, when you look at how change is affected, it is affected by public opinion, right? When the massive amount of the public decides this enough is enough, we can affect change, right? It's just really, really hard, and everyone has to care, and they have to care for longer than 2 days. They have to care for longer than a week. You have to
care for years.
You have to care for years. And I saw a report on healthcare. You know how long they've been lobbying to change healthcare in the United States?
This goes back to LBJ and Nixon.
Jesus Christ.
This goes back for
60, 70 years.
Yeah, I mean, and
Hillary Clinton started it.
The idea that, and that's one thing that gets frustrating. And I don't want to like disparage the things that like we're into and the things that bring us joy and entertainment, but like the things that we are into and that we talk about and that we make our business about are fucking meaningless. At the end of the day, meaningless. Like it is meaningless, and we can rally all of these people around games and entertainment. It's fine and it's great. Like it's all what binds us together, and we all love those things. But like the apathy route that America is taking right now is not acceptable, and it's leading us into a fucking abyss. And this is where the thing, like, polling isn't changing anything. 92% of Americans want fucking background checks. 92%, and the Senate won't pass that. 88% of Americans want you to not be able to buy a gun if you're on a terrorist watch list. That failed. Who are they voting for? Like at
their interests, their special interests.
At some point, it's like, when you are the senator from the state of New York, you are the senator for those people. You are not your own senator.
Yeah, people forgot that a long time ago.
And like we are a republic. It's a representative republic. The idea that we're not a democracy because we don't all individually vote on issues. We send people to cast their votes for us. It's just easier that way. That's the entire idea of the system. So when you have a representative, it's like saying, I'm going to be a conservative Republican and I'll represent the 8th district in Manhattan. Like, that doesn't make any sense. That's not how it works. That's why no Republicans get nominated or elected in Manhattan, because you don't represent them. Just like in deep the heart of Texas, you wouldn't have a fucking liberal Democrat casting votes for them. But at some point, and this is the thing that's frustrating to me. Like, no one gives anything. So like, there's no you can't prove like this works or this doesn't work. It's just a lot of like talking points of, oh well, like the Sandy Hook guy had his mom bought those guns legally and all those kinds of things. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. So like, is it and so I agree with you there. Is it a mental health issue? Is there anything we can do at all? Can we just stop throwing our hands in the air and being like, well, there's nothing we can do.
Couldn't prevent it.
Those AR-15s were purchased legally. He killed his mom and took them. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And the same thing with, other gunners that have had, their guns legally and all those kinds of things. I'm like, that's not really the point. Like, we're not seeing it the right way. You have to give the other side something so that they give you something.
Or it's compromise.
And at the end of the day, like, instead of, so like I was saying before, instead of like the liberal side being like, look at it's like a fucking violent zoo out there in the United States. Look at all these gun deaths. And someone should be in the middle should be like, your statistics are disingenuous. Like, you're counting things that don't matter within the gun violence rate. And when we talk about gun violence, we are not talking about suicides and we're not talking about accidents. We all know that. So stop putting those numbers in there.
Right.
But if we want them to do that, then maybe on this side, we should say like, oh, well, all background checks are illegal, and like, why would we have background checks or whatever? It's like, is that unreasonable for a man or a woman to go into a gun shop and have to wait 3 days to get their gun so that they can just figure out if they're a felon or something like that? Is it really that big of a deal? Like, we don't know the intent of the founders in the 21st century paradigm, but I'm pretty sure that if you went to Benjamin Franklin or you went to the framers themselves, if you went to like Madison or Monroe or someone like that, and we're like, do you think here's the guns that we have today? Right. You had a musket
single shot
that took
you once a minute.
that literally your best shooter can probably load and shoot in 30 seconds. Your best guys.
Best guy.
This gun shoots hundreds of rounds in a minute. Now, I'm not saying this gun shouldn't exist, and I'm not saying this gun shouldn't be allowed to, I think that you should be allowed to have your assault rifles. I have no problem with that. Mm-hmm. But do you think, Mr. Madison, that perhaps like if you should maybe make sure that the person having this weapon of fucking mass destruction that would have mowed down all of the columns that Lexington conquered by itself, by the way, this fierce battle that you guys fought, do you think that maybe we should just wait a few days and make sure that this person's like okay? And he'd probably be like, yeah, that makes sense to us. Yeah, I like it. It's just not that like it's not that. Do you think? Like it doesn't make any sense. Yes, let's have honest statistics. Let's talk honestly about guns. The people on one side that are like, we should ban guns or whatever, they're dumb. They don't understand anything about the Constitution. It's never going to happen in the United States. It will never fucking happen. Ever. Okay, so like, let's stop with that nonsense. But let's stop with the unfettered, like, let's have anything we want for any reason, no rules attached. The Second Amendment is king. And let's meet somewhere in the middle and say, yes, the Second Amendment is sacred and the Second Amendment is not going to be legislated out of the Constitution. It's just not going to happen. And it's number 2, by the way. They are kind of labeled in some respect in order of what they thought were important to a degree. That's why the First Amendment is the First Amendment.
Right.
So, so on that one side, we can have like an honest conversation. On the other side, we can have an honest conversation and be like, okay, we understand the Second Amendment is real. We understand that, like, but what can we do to keep guns out of the hands of people that that shouldn't have them? And if we can just stop a few of these, isn't that worth the trouble? If we can just stop one troubled man from going into a store and buying a gun and making him have a 3-day or 5-day waiting period, a cool down period, and then he goes back to buy the gun, he's like, I don't want to kill that person anymore. I'm so glad that this existed, this 72-hour wait existed so that I didn't do anything fucking stupid and ruin my life and ruin someone else's life and ruin these families' lives and all this kinds of thing. And then what happens when you compromise like that is when these things happen, we look down the checkboxes and are like, well, we really did try to do everything. Like, we really did.
Right.
And then the pro-gun side can be like, we were totally reasonable and compromised with you, and there's nothing else for us to give.
But see,
but they don't do that because they haven't given anything.
Well, I think that's the problem, right? Is that they view giving even an inch as too much, right? And that's the rhetoric on that side, which is, to give it all would be to give away all of our rights, and that's how they frame it, and that's how it's sold to people who support.
They sell it as that's how it starts,
right? Exactly. And it's unfortunate because you're right. You're absolutely right. In order to get anything done, there has to be compromise, right? Especially with our 2-party system. I will say, there's a little bit of hope, right? We are talking about it. This conversation is happening more often, and that is how you do affect change in our system. Unfortunately, like that, it just is going to take 50 fucking years.
But this brings me right back to where we were when we discussed Ferguson, where I talked about the fact that this is a huge thing now, and next week it'll be a shooting, and then next week it'll be this, and then it's going to be a fucking gorilla in a zoo, and then it's, you know what I mean? Like, We jumped to issue to issue.
They should have never. That enclosure was completely.
I agree. And he was trying to protect the kid. It looked like. Anyways, but yeah, you come back to these things later on. And like it is that. Oh yeah, I remember Sandy Hook. Like that. It's all this chip damage that nobody gets to focus on.
But I mean, like when did the background checks? There is a cooling off period.
There are. I mean, it depends. The background checks, the gun show stuff, the cooling down periods are all state by state. I mean,
right. So in California, there's a cooling off period. Right.
And exactly.
And that's a relatively new thing. That's like as of I think the 80s, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know about California's laws, but I mean, and there are assault rifle bans in states and stuff like that. Like, so it really is
happening. It's just happening very slowly.
Yeah, it's happening slowly, and it's happening at a state level. But I will say that, there are certain things that I think are bridges too far. Like, I have no problem with background checks. I do have a problem with a gun registry. I think that is totally over stepping way over the bounds. In other words, the federal government shouldn't have a record of every gun every person owns that they can access at any time. Like, I think that goes against the spirit of the Second Amendment. But I don't think there's anything wrong with having a background check system where it's like, can we just make sure right now as you're buying this gun, are you fucking crazy? Are you a felon? Like, are you on the terrorist watch list?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with that. No one's like, and that's the point that we're trying to make, where everyone's like, on my side, I guess I'll say in quotes, where everyone's like, it's a slippery slope. No one's trying to take away your guns. Well, no one is trying to take your guns. I promise. It's not going to happen.
The problem is you have to have a massive PR plan, right? That basically blasts gun supporters, right? You have to, in order for it to affect really any change, you have to have that really polarizing, like, almost bullshit made up argument on that side. Something to the degree of like, by not doing this, the NRA is supporting terrorism. Like that would have to be as an absurd statement as you'd have to make in order to really shake these people.
Yeah, but I mean,
and affects change. But you can't,
That's how it feels though. This whole thing is so backwards to me. Like the whole gun thing, I don't understand why people feel the need to have guns. Doesn't make sense to me. The need to defend yourself, that's just something that I guess I'm lucky enough to be privileged in a world where that's not something that has ever crossed my mind if I need a gun to protect my house or whatever. But like, I don't understand people's infatuation with having guns or with the need to have the right to have guns. I understand that was a thing a long time ago. That seems like a backwards ass step to me. I don't understand this. And I think that it's weird that it's where we're at now. But I mean, I feel like we're seeing all this stuff and it's just like you're right, where it's just like, it's not like everyone that has the guns doing this stuff. But if no one had guns and it was illegal to have guns, less of this shit would happen. And it's like it still would happen because people would still have access to them because it's not like they would just disappear. But I just don't understand how we're in this world where it takes a fucking people claiming you're a terrorist.
Right.
And you have
absurd statements. And by the way, I'm not saying that people should go out there and say that. I'm just saying as an example.
You're using an example.
Right. That's what it might take.
Well, I mean, but is it not also in a sense, and I'm not saying in this case true, like is there not bloody, the blood of the Sandy Hook kids, for instance, on the NRA's hands? The answer is fucking yes. Not because Adam Lanza bought those guns illegally or anything like that, but because these guys just stand in the way of any sort of progress.
Right.
That I'm a fucking conservative Republican.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you that there's nothing wrong with the state or the federal government legislating on making sure that guns are just in the hands of the people that should have them, which is probably, frankly, it's like the numbers I talked about before. There are more guns in the country than there are people. There are people with fucking arsenals in their house that wouldn't hurt a fucking fly. Why they have them, I don't know. I don't care. I don't own a gun.
A lot of people I knew back in Missouri were former military folks. They came back and found an appreciation for guns, and that's why they had the arsenal.
But like my whole thing is, we don't. So like, why do we have guns? Should they make them? No, we shouldn't. I think to the point of people more on, again, my side in quotes, you don't just give away rights for no reason. That's stupid. It's like I always talk about so you don't just be like, we're just going to sacrifice our right to have guns on the altar just out of principle. Like we don't do that.
Well, it's for no reason. Well, it's to make a statement against these type of things.
Right. But to do that, you would need to legislate it out of the Constitution. It's the example I always use with the Third Amendment, which is like no one even knows what the fuck the Third Amendment is. It's to say that the government can't quarter American soldiers in your house. This was because the British did this to them in the Intolerable Acts in Boston. Like they would bring British soldiers over and American families had to feed and clothe and house those people. So that was part of their experience. It's never been cited in any Supreme Court case, and it's fucking meaningless. It doesn't mean anything, but like we see it there and we're like, well, you never know, it should be there or whatever. So like we never even had an attempt to remove that from the Constitution with an amendment because it's like, well, why would we do that? Like it's a right that they gave us, and it doesn't seem like we need it now, but maybe one day we would. And so I understand that particular argument, but like to just say like by meeting somewhere in the middle on guns, the law-abiding hundreds of millions of guns out there that are in the hands of law-abiding people, these people can step up too, and they are, and a lot of them do step up and say like, I don't want psychopaths with a fucking gun strapped to their fucking leg. I don't think that was the intent of the founders. I don't think the founders intended that anyone, regardless of mental status or anything like that, should have a gun. That wasn't really the idea of the militia. So, I just get so fucking frustrated with these political ideological purity tests that everyone has to go through, and these all things where it's like, yeah, maybe this will stop nothing, but at least we know we tried. Like, why can't we just try to give the one side a little bit and have a give and take? That way, when these things happen again, and hopefully they happen fewer times in the future, we just know that we checked all the boxes. And then our side can come up and say like, instead of making the argument at the beginning, which is to say like, we'll sacrifice a little bit of security for a little bit of freedom, which is something I believe in. We say that afterwards when we say we sacrificed all of these things, and now we have to realize that like some of this is the repercussions of a free society. That like we gave you A, B, C, D, E, and F, and they stopped 25% of these things, but we can't give anymore. Like, because then we really start to infringe on the things that we hold constitutionally dear or within our ideological souls, like where we're like, we just can't give anymore. But we gave. Instead, it's like we give you nothing. We give you nothing. And then this causes the other side to have to get more and more extreme. And then what you have is there's these two sides that just scream at each other. As we get into, every time we talk into a political conversation, we talk about this. And one side's screaming about all the gun deaths, even though that they know they're not talking about the right statistics. And the other side's talking about like, out of my cold dead hands, as if anyone's trying to take your fucking hunting rifle.
Right.
Or as if anyone's even trying to take your assault rifle. That's not what anyone's even talking about.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just talk about that because I swear to fucking God, there are reasonable people out there, and you get the government that you deserve. And we can vote the House out every 2 years. This isn't a ridiculous. They're not in there for life, but we keep putting the same people in there over and over again. The Senate every 6 years in 2-year cycles. We can do something about this, and we can get reasonable Republicans and reasonable Democrats. And that's the big thing that I hate too. Is like these kinds of arguments make it seem like there are no reasonable Republicans. There are millions of us. It's just
the people you're electing aren't.
No, it's because they have to appeal to the ideologically crazy people, just like the Democrats have to appeal to the ideologically crazy people. And in the middle, everyone is left being like, well, I have no problem with the Second Amendment. I just maybe want some legislation that would make it a little easier. And instead of the legislators going in there and being like, well, this is a due process Fifth Amendment infringement, and then they walk back to fucking Texas or wherever they're from or whatever, it'd be like, okay, this is a due process problem. Can we fix it? And then everyone sits there and like figures it out. Like, can we fix the terrorist watch list? So that it's within due process. So like we understand how names are added to it. So we understand how you can get off of it. There's an appeals process. It's fair. It's transparent. No, that's too hard. Everyone back to their districts. And then we'll argue about this again next time. With a whole new group of fucking inept asshole morons that are leading us from the White House all the way down. It's infuriating. And I'm like, that's why I'm saying it's obnoxious. I'm sick of it.
So my question is why, and let me get it all out, why are you against the National Gun Registry when my car is registered? And if it's just the fact that there's the registry, well, tell me, why is it? Why are you against it?
If states want to have their own registries, I think it's a 10th Amendment infringement. I think that like the federal government, those should be like, if the state of California wants to have a list of everyone's guns or whatever, then that's their prerogative. I am uncomfortable with the federal government having so much power that they know like where every gun is. Like I don't think that's within the spirit of the Second Amendment.
Okay.
Like I don't. So like, but I don't think that that's an unreasonable argument, and that's not what anyone's really asking for. Sure. When you're asking for a background check, you're not asking for a registry.
I don't think
a
registry doesn't solve the problems we're having.
No, it tells you where all the guns are now.
Yep, he had that gun legally. We knew he had that gun. He went and shot a bunch of people. Glad the registry exists. Like, I don't think it solves it, but I don't think it's a bad thing to have either necessarily.
And if people can trick the background checks, which they can, and if people can do all these things and they still commit those crimes, well, at least you put barriers in front of them to make them think, or to at least try.
Well, just try to figure it out based on these failures.
But I mean, that's the hard part, right? Is that take out the argument of gun control, right? And people still do bad things. How do you solve that? Yeah, it's hard.
You don't,
right?
Well, you're always going to have bad
because it's a case by case basis, right? People's motivations for doing things range, and they're terrible things and they shouldn't be done, but you can't stop a bad person from doing a bad thing, or a person who's in a bad mental state from doing a bad thing, right? It's just very, very difficult. So I feel like almost the argument's almost absurd at this point, because it really is not addressing the root problem, because no one knows really what that root problem is.
I think it's a lot of things.
Maybe it's maybe it's our policy in the Middle East, or maybe it's not. I don't know, but there's a reason why people are psychologically disturbed and going out there and doing this stuff. And
yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons. I think that like I think there's so many reasons why we have gun violence in the United States, and I don't think, of course, we have guns, so that's going to be part of it. Like anyone who's like, well, you have a gun culture. It's like, yeah, we have had a gun culture since the 80s,
right?
Since the 1770s, we have had a gun culture. That's why we won the revolution. That's why like we are a force to be reckoned with. Because of those kinds of things. So there's a positivity to it, but I think it's like the destruction of the family. I think it's like the destruction of morality and ethical ways of living and like doing what's right and all. I think there's so many like issues, and people like point at these scapegoats, but I think it's very simple. I think it starts at home, and I think it starts with the way you're raised. I think it starts with mental health. I think it starts with all those kinds of things. But guns are a component. Anyone who is even pro-gun like I am doesn't admit that, like, well, the access to guns is obviously letting people kill people with guns. No shit.
Sure.
Who would like sit here and deny that? But people do. That's so it's a very troubling kind of thing. And I just wanted to bring that up, that like we need to start dealing with these things. Like we are in trouble, man. Like I really do not think people understand how much significant trouble this country is in. Like from a fabric standpoint, like we don't do anything anymore. No wonder people like Trump, Trump are doing well with a group of people where it's like, well, like we don't win anymore. We're not great anymore. And it's like, well, he is right there. I don't think he's right in like almost anything he says, but I get why that particular message appeals to people, because it's like, yeah, like look at these fucking incompetent assholes. They don't do anything. 92% of people want a background check and you can't even pass it. Nothing is voted up 92%. Like nothing is like you can't find anything that people agree with. You wouldn't be able to find 90% of Americans that believe the earth is round. And like, and they're voting.
It's probably true.
And they're voting and they won't vote on this. And I'm like, yeah, I believe in the tyranny of the majority. I believe that you have to legislate. I think there's a due process issue. Sure. Fucking fix it. Fix it. We pay you all this money. You get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, millions of dollars to your staffs and your office space and your travel. Fix it. Or we'll get someone in there that fucking will fix it, but we don't. Like, there's no threat. Incumbents win in the House all the time. No one's primaried. It's an old boys club and an old girls club. Guess what? Nancy Pelosi's going to win.
Yeah.
In November. And she's going to win in November 2018. She'll win November 2020. She'll win no matter what. She's going to win until she retires.
Well, that's because she has a lot of good points. Nick, what's your topic?
Complete polar opposite from the one we just talked about. I was on the flight back from E3, and the very classic film Kindergarten Cop was on.
Yes, Arnold Schwarzenegger, former governor.
Very former
He had some
governor.
right ideas.
Great ideas, some bad ideas too.
Not as bad as people think. I'll show that up.
We can dive into that on a later one. I'd love to actually hear your opinion on him. My question is, now they've made a sequel to Kindergarten Cop.
God.
They did.
Direct to DVD.
Direct to DVD.
First
starring
grade
Dolph
Cop.
Lundgren, right? Where he goes and looks for some
And
sort
Bill
of flashlight.
Bellamy.
Bill Bellamy was in that?
Yeah.
Did you see this?
No, I saw the trailer.
Oh man, we got to watch this. It came
we
out
watched it on Colin
last
Greg.
month. So my question is, out of all the films they're remaking, why don't they remake Kindergarten Cop? Why can't they give it an actual wide theatrical release? Cast someone amazing at it.
Stop remaking
go after it.
things.
I don't think
make new movies.
I mean, there's no way they could have captured that magic. That movie has
it, like,
just something
okay, that's
so special to it.
That's my question to you. Should it be remade?
no.
Absolutely not. And
There's no way.
I'm a fan of remakes overall.
Right.
This though, no. Like I remember being a wee little lad watching this movie on the late night, like TNT and all that shit, and I was just blown away. That movie introduced me to ferrets.
Yeah.
I love ferrets.
Illegal in California.
And just overall, yeah. Oh, trust me. Every kid that grew up in the '90s knows that because
Not illegal in Oregon, which is where they were. Yeah.
I didn't know, because my dad's dad had a ferret, but that's maybe
Yeah,
I thought you
apparently
were
it's
gonna say your
illegal to
dad's
keep them
dad
as
was a
pet in
ferret.
California.
he was also a ferret.
Grandpa.
The story of that movie, though, I mean, it just captured you, and just that end part, it was so intense. You wanted to make sure that everyone was okay, and God damn it, Arnold did it.
The reason it wouldn't work anymore is because there's no star in our world of social media and everything else that can make that move and make that pivot and have it be as funny as that was. Because remember, Arnold Schwarzenegger was still coming off of being the Terminator and being all these
literally-
Conan the Barbarian.
If I read correctly on IMDb, he literally left the shoot to go film a teaser for T2.
Right.
So this puts it in context as like when this was happening.
He was like
in
the ultimate
career.
badass, and so there was no look behind the curtain that he wasn't always like that. And so for
Right.
him to come out, like, because they opened that movie, and I remember that trailer opening very much like it's his normal
The mall shots with
ass.
him, like,
he's gonna
yeah.
kill all these people and be awesome, and then he goes and has to be this like heartwarming kindergarten teacher, and he's like, the big man struggle with these little kids, and like, Who would do that now? You know what I mean? Who would do that? You don't have something like The Rock's awesome. Everybody knows The Rock's awesome. He's in a, Vin Diesel's done a bunch of different things. Right, and none of those had the explosion though. No. Vin Diesel did the pacifier. None of them had that kind of crossover potential. Hulk Hogan did a fucking Mr. Nanny or no, Mr. Whatever. Hulk Hogan did the Nanny movie, and then he did the. He was the Spaceman movie too. But that was the thing too, where it's like that just doesn't. Even then, it was like Hulk Hogan's persona was already so lovable and great that those movies didn't have those explosive appeal. When Arnold Schwarzenegger comes out of nowhere and suddenly is fucking awesome, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, he's funny too."
Yeah,
I thought he could barely speak, but it turns out he can barely speak and he's funny.
I'm actually convinced, and I can't really back this. Actually, I could back this up. I'm convinced he got worse as an actor as it goes. Like if you watch his stuff now. And then you go back and watch Kindergarten Cop, where he actually had decent scenes in that film. Like I haven't seen it as an adult ever.
Yeah.
So I'm watching this. I'm like, these are actually heartfelt scenes where he's emoting and he has an emotional range in this.
Right.
And then you go back later and watch like End of Days or whatever, like the one he just did where he was like a town sheriff. A giant Austrian town sheriff in Middle America, and he's just one note the entire time.
But again, that comes down to the fact of I think like when he's getting cast in now is like the Expendables or whatever. You know what I mean? Like they're like, all right, be Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know what I mean? You don't need range for that or whatever.
But it's sad because I feel like he actually started progressing as he was trying, and then realized that he doesn't have to actually try.
Well, I think his career. I mean, he just kept getting those roles where it's just be Arnold Schwarzenegger. So that's all he has to worry about.
Yeah, I'm just fascinated. I'm fascinated with your guys' perspective on this because you all know that I love terrible films, and in fact,
Kindergarten Cop's not terrible.
That's my question. Do you guys see Kindergarten Cop in the same light that I do, where I hold it in very high esteem? Like
I think it's a fun. That's one of those great movies. I was talking to somebody the other night about movies that movies that come on TV and you watch. Right. You know what I mean? That's definitely on that list. Do I think it's like Casablanca? No. But is it an enjoyable, fun movie?
When I use the term very high esteem for Kindergarten Cop, probably not. Probably not, but it's good.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in way too long, but I'm sure I would enjoy it. I'm sure that I would actually want to watch it. It comes on TV and I'm like, all right, this is my afternoon.
This is totally one of those movies I don't have a crystal clear remembrance of the opening. Like I can tell you what like the Nod of Tumor and then Dominic when he's walking. This is the guy who's clearly supposed to be Steven Seagal. Right. We can't get Steven Seagal. Put a ponytail on that guy. Have him say Dominic. I'm just my father. Dominic. You don't even remember your dad.
Oh my god,
they were coming back in the back. I always knew they were coming back in the back. I was watching that trailer for Independence Day, by the way, and he doesn't say anything like that in the trailer. It's the best. He's
there's one scene where
he's like they're coming, they're back or something. But like we're like we always knew they were gonna come back in the back.
Oh man,
Bill Pullman. That's all his only line.
So Nick, this might warm your heart a little bit.
Sure.
I don't remember the context.
Yeah.
But Kindergarten Cop was shown in my film studies class in college. I don't know why,
do this.
But no, it was. I think it was for something about comedy, probably about comedic timing and like how to cut comedy or whatever. But it makes me happy that they see it in high regard.
Yeah.
The school system. That's what they're teaching kids now.
It's just it's one of those rare instances from the 80s where the absurdity worked, right? Where it all came together, and because that could have been a huge disaster similar to Jingle All the Way, right? Where you were like, what is happening in this
Nick
horrible film?
Excuse you.
Jingle All the Way.
Fucking Turbo Time.
He's got to get Turbo Man or whatever the fucking doll was.
Jingle All the Way
the
is
size
terrible.
Of your face.
And that's the same thing though of what it suffered from is they tried to do it again of like, all right, we'll put him into this.
Junior also, right? And Junior was another one of those.
Junior, yeah, it wasn't good.
No.
But I mean, they were stretching and like, let's give you like a real plot to work with or whatever. You're going to have a fucking baby.
Where does Twins fall in all of this?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking Twins.
Oh, Twins
Junior is later where he became pregnant.
Yeah.
He was the first man to become pregnant.
Twins
was the one that actually... Twins had some heart to it because it had Danny DeVito, and Danny DeVito played the other side of the gene
Twins
pool.
was 2 years before Kindergarten Cop.
I like to look at them as kind of a trilogy. You got your Twins, you got your Kindergarten Cop, and you got your Junior. It's just, it tells a nice little story. That Jingle All the Way is when they tried to take it too far.
Jingle All the Way was probably the end of his career as we knew it. Like when you look at it, he peaked really with Junior was probably on the way down, and then when you hit Jingle All the Way, you're just that much closer to end of days.
I think Junior was when I saw it in theaters, and it was awesome.
Junior, I remember it wasn't for me because I was a kid.
Weird.
But yeah, I know. But that was the thing of like it was just another one where it was No, I just said twins. We're talking about twins.
Oh, I thought you said Junior. I'm sorry.
Maybe
Twins I liked.
Okay.
Twins was good.
I'm just trying to defend twins. I will
Twins is the
step
one with
down.
Danny DeVito.
Right. It's where they were born and Arnold Schwarzenegger got all the good genes and Danny DeVito got the leftovers. And so, I mean, it's kind of a genius concept, but I had a heart to it because Danny DeVito's kind of a shitty guy and then realizes that the reason he is because of that is because of genes, and then he can rise above that. He can be better than that.
Didn't they make a sequel?
They call it Metal Gear
sure
Solid.
They do.
Was it the triplets?
I'm sure
I think it was.
They did a lot of straight DVD
Kevin,
sequels.
get on it. Figure it out.
I'm on IMDb.
All
Do you
I'm
think,
saying
do you think
is
there's a
that-
sequel called Triplets?
If they were to remake Kindergarten Cop, starring The Rock,
Motherfucker. God damn it.
I would have to see that film.
I know you would.
Or starring Vin Diesel.
Triplets is in development, according to
what?
this. Yes. It's Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Match.
Eddie Murphy. The Triplets.
I don't know a lot about science, Kevin, but can we get the Minority Report on that?
According to Arnold
What's the Minority
Schwarzenegger's
Report?
2012 biography, Total
Okay.
Recall, Julius and Vincent Benedict discovered they had another brother who also came from the experiment. The other brother is played by Eddie Murphy.
Sweet Jesus.
This is a movie that'll never gonna happen.
No.
Yeah.
But
Largely
heads
because
up.
Eddie Murphy doesn't do funny movies anymore.
Ooh.
I mean, he does family films a lot, but he doesn't do that specifically.
He ain't Eddie.
He's not Eddie anymore. That's a topic for another day. Because I used to love Eddie Murphy, and then watching sort of his, not decline, but sort of transition over to family films has been kind of sad for me. We're talking about a guy who had probably one of the best biting senses of humor from the 80s and 90s ever, and then a couple things happened to him, and he just couldn't do it anymore. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Dr.
It reminds me
Dolittle.
of like Eddie Murphy's decline, or like which seemed to be partially like what he wanted in a way. Oh,
Yeah.
it seems to be it's very similar to Jim Carrey to me, where I'm like, what happened? Like, what happened to you? And Adam Sandler too. But Adam Sandler's trying. Like these other two like don't really do much. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
Netflix is trying for on Adam Sandler's behalf. Every fucking time I'm done watching something, it tries to push that stupid Adam Sandler, David Spade movie.
But have you watched the trailer?
No,
It didn't look terrible.
really?
Yes.
I hope it's awesome. Like,
Also, it
like,
turns out-
that's my boy.
Turns out Pixel's not as bad as everybody said it was.
Really?
Yeah.
Everyone hated that.
Well, everybody hated it without seeing it.
Yeah.
Which was one of those like pot calling the kettle black moments. It's
That's
like it
true,
came on
actually.
TV. I was in Vegas with Poe, and it came on TV, and I scoffed. He's what you Poe sees every film imaginable. He's like, "What? You don't like Pixels?" I'm like, I heard it's terrible. He's like, "Oh, but you haven't seen it yourself?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "We're watching Pixels."
Oh my God. Something
And we
about
watched
that,
Pixels, and I was like, this wasn't that bad. I mean, granted, I thought it was gonna be trash garbage. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, there was a laugh or two in there.
Was it better or worse than Click?
It was better than Click.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I didn't like Click that much. So there
I'll
you
watch
go.
Pixels then because I liked Click a lot.
This will be a fun one. We should do a commentary.
I would totally, because it had Walken in it, right?
Yeah.
It was like, wow,
that's
Zowie.
true.
Yeah.
Going to Bed Bath and
Beyond.
Beyond.
The scene,
beyond.
the one scene in Pixels from the trailer that made me laugh was the Pac-Man's dad.
Yeah.
Which was like the
He's
funniest thing.
misunderstood when he bites his hand off.
Yeah, I mean, my topic, not nearly as deep as gun control, but I just wanted to.
So have we come to the conclusion Kindergarten Cop's an awesome movie?
Well, it's my. It is an awesome movie. We've
I haven't seen it in a
come
long
to
time
that conclusion.
either.
But I'll disagree with you because I feel like if they announced that The Rock was doing Kindergarten Cop, we would all have to go see it.
Well, yeah,
No,
we
we
would.
don't see
I just
it,
went and
but I
saw
don't think it'd be
Central
good.
Intelligence last
How
night.
was
The
that?
Rock does anything. Again, here's the thing I've noticed as I've gotten older. I go into movies now with the correct expectation.
Sure.
So when I went to see Ninja Turtles, and Ninja Turtles ended, and me and Tim's brother Greg walked out, we were like, that was fun. All right, I had a great time. And Kevin came over, oh, it's a bad movie. It's like, what did you fucking expect from Ninja Turtles? It had Krang in it. Isn't that everything you want?
No.
It had Krang in it. It had ninjas. This is what I
Rocksteady and
expected.
Bebop looked pretty cool.
Exactly. Oh, y'all got jokes.
But it's
If you need another Bebop, I'm in.
It's very true though. I mean, it's similar to the conversation we had after we saw Civil War, right? Where it's like every movie kind of has its place now, right? And its place, like the comic book movies specifically, aren't necessarily to be great films. They're great popcorn films, right?
Yeah.
When you go see it, like I'm gonna go see Baywatch when it comes out.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be
Baywatch,
funny as hell.
It's gonna
that's
be
different. That has
Probably
league of
a
its own.
bad funny
No
movie.
way.
Like, I think
They're doing a hard R,
That, yeah,
aren't
no,
they?
that's
Like
set
that's
up
gonna
to
be
succeed right
it's
now.
gonna be
Yeah.
okay. So maybe it'll be on the level of 21 Jump Street.
I think it will.
Maybe.
That's what they shoot
That's
for.
a
That's what
really
they shoot
good
for.
call.
If they're gonna hit that, great.
That was the
but
thi-
to me, I feel like it's going to be on the same level as what Bob and Dave Need a Wedding Date or whatever
Yeah,
that
yeah,
movie
yeah.
is with
No,
Zac Efron.
That's its own tier. That you can tell a movie is that tier when they're like showing the movie a year before it comes out at Comic-Con and
They're like Zac
RTX or
Efron's
whatever.
going to be in a
You're
good
like,
movie, so let's make sure we show this movie. So people go
Exactly.
see it. Yeah.
Although that looks pretty funny.
It does
It's
look
just,
kinda funny.
Just pretty funny. It's not.
Right.
But Baywatch though, my money's on Baywatch.
But you see, I did the right thing with Central Intelligence, where I'm like, I like The Rock and I like
Love
Kevin
Kevin
Hart,
Hart. Love him.
and I'm like, I like watching their banter on Instagram. So yeah, I'll go see this movie. And then I was sitting down and I talked to the person with them, like, do people like this? She's like, oh, no. Critics don't like this movie at all. I was like, oh, no. And then it started, I was like, oh, but this is exactly what I wanted out of this. But it's The Rock and Kevin Hart fucking around for an hour and a half or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's exactly like, that's why I like Ride Along. Not a great film, but it's a fucking Ice Cube and Kevin Hart fucking around for an hour and a half. It's funny.
Yeah. See, I feel like I've talked about it. I'm keeping this list on my phone, all the movies I've seen this year. And a lot of it has been that I'll go on Amazon and I'll watch the trailer, or I'll be like, I remember liking that trailer when I saw it, and I'll just jump in and I don't do any research. And then I come on, I was like, I enjoyed that fine. Yeah. And I looked and people hated it. And it's like, well, they're coming at it, that was their job to go review it or whatever, or they were super excited for it. It's like with Neighbors 2. I was like, Neighbors 2 looks great. And everybody's like, it's not doing well in the reviews. And I never went and saw it. And I'm like, damn it, I gave up. I should have gone out there because I like all the people in Neighbors 2. Why wouldn't I like Neighbors 2?
The Neighbors 1.
Neighbors 1 was great.
Surprising as all shit.
Yeah. Surprising.
Did not expect to like it. It was funny.
Yeah.
Neighbors 2. Got that one girl. What's her name? Chloe Moretz.
Right. Hit girl.
Big fan of her.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Big Islanders fan.
Is she really?
Yep. Huge Islanders fan. Yeah.
Get her on the show.
She's going to be Ariel.
She goes to like all the Islanders home games.
She's going to be Ariel in what? Right? What is Ariel going to be in?
Little Mermaid.
They're making a live action Little Mermaid.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not Disney making it. It's gonna be some.
Oh my god!
Bullshit. It's a whole thing. Also, Colin at Let's Play Live, did you notice that Nick threw up the LI?
No.
Yeah.
Every time I came out, no, it was just the time we were on stage. But every time I came out, I was trying to throw it out. Just so you'd see it, but you're never proud of me.
Thank you. No, but I was.
You're never proud of me.
You know what I mean?
It's too busy getting booed by everyone on the stage.
That's not true.
We almost won that game. If you'd have just cheated like I told you to,
I should have cheated, but I don't want to win like that.
I don't care.
I don't want to win like that. I don't win like that.
When it comes to those assholes over at Funhouse, they can suck it.
Yeah, I could have won, but I chose not to win like that.
Fair enough.
That's what it looked like. Sorry, Nick. Sorry, Greg. Sorry, everybody. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna go pee.
This topic was brought to you by Harry's. Stop compromising on your shave and get started with Harry's. For far too long, you've either paid too much for a comfortable shave or you've settled for a low price but low quality razor. Harry's offers something you've never had before. A great shave at a great price. Harry's makes its own high-quality razors, cuts out the middleman, and ships them directly to you for half the price of the leading brand. Good shave, good price. It's simple. Get the best of both with Harry's. Harry's starter is just $15, and that includes a razor, 3 blades, and your choice of Harry's shave cream or foaming gel. Which do you prefer and why? Let them know when you order. As an added bonus, you can get $5 off your first purchase with the code KINDAFUNNY. After using the code, you can get an entire month's worth of shaving for just $10. By cutting out the middleman, Harry's offers an amazing shave at a fraction of the price of drugstore brands, and it's always free. This is where I'm supposed to kick to Tim, where he can tell you how he trimmed his beard with Harry's, because he got a free Harry's. But Tim is not here, because he's got to pee.
Do you want me to knock on the door with the mic?
You'll never make it over there. There's not enough cord. There's not nearly enough cord. Just how good does Tim's beard look trimmed with Harry's razor?
Whatever he's doing, it's working. So good for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not in his bathroom while he's trimming himself, while he's manscaping himself.
Do you think he's using the Harry's down there?
I mean, knowing Tim, he's bald from the neck down.
Yeah.
But he's using the Harry's one the whole time?
Probably.
Are you using the Harry's just to trim up the beard, or are you going downstairs?
So a lot of people have been asking me, Greg. At E3, they're like, your face looking fresh. And I was like, you know why it's looking fresh? Because that Harry's razor, I've been using that shit. Look at that.
That's a nice
line.
Today,
actually. So
nobody would know
how clean it's looking.
None of our kids know.
Okay. I want to say that I've used it down there, but I also have access to the the Venus razor, which I'm quite fond of as well, because they have a lot of lotions on it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's you got to use what you got. You got to do what you got to do down there.
Oh, you talking about down there? Down there?
Yeah, down there.
Okay, yeah, no, I haven't tried the Harry's razor down there yet.
Well, Harry's starter set. It's called the Truman. It's a great option for new customers. An amazing deal. For just $15, you get the razor handle, moisturizing shave cream. There you go. And 3 of Harry's 5-blade German-engineered razors. Plus, there's a special offer for us, as we already talked about. They'll give you $5 off your first purchase with the promo code KINDAFUNNY. Go to harrys.com right now. Get the Truman set. That's Harry's, HARRYS.com. Enter the code KINDAFUNNY at checkout to get $5 off and support the show. Stop compromising. Give Harry's a try today. Tim.
Yes.
What's your topic?
So my topic is similar to one we've done before, with a slight little twist on that motherfucker.
I like twists.
Little lime and twists.
So here's
What
the
a
thing.
twist.
We've covered before, if we weren't doing this weird job that we do, what would we be doing?
Exact answers.
The twist on this is not what would you be doing. What do you think you'd be good at? And kind of want to answer for the other people, because I feel like you have a good kind of
we know each other.
Objective look at each other, and we know what each other is good at.
I said it before on a show. I think when we were talking, or Nick was telling one of his stories about how he hated somebody at Olive Garden or something. Yeah. I would be a great waiter.
Fuckers.
Holy shit, because I get to turn it on. I get to walk up. I get to be like, hey, what's up? And I do the whole thing where I grab the chair.
Oh, no, don't be that guy. I don't like that.
How you doing? You had a good first date? What do you want from Bennigan's?
let me completely intrude on your
I
personal
want to do
space.
this. I would play it very cool. The chair thing wouldn't be happening all the time.
So what,
but if I had
what
a
are
bunch
your
of,
rules then, Greg? Like you're a waiter. You come in.
Yeah.
When do you do the chair thing?
I probably would never do the chair thing unless it was a table of youths and I needed to impress them. And I would do it in the way of like, hey, what's up, fellow youths? I would sit down and be like that. Who wants a beer? And they're all like 11. Like, we can't have beer. I'm like, you want some of the sleepy candy I have?
Sleepy
And then they'd all go to sleep and I'd stand up and go, these kids are dead. Someone get help. Then I take their
Holy
wallets and I
shit.
run away.
Okay.
And they call me the sleepy candy man.
It's a long
I
con. you
wanted
got
to
going
see
on
where that
there.
was going to go.
Yeah.
I'm glad
But
it
I'd
ended
be a
with you
good waiter.
taking their wallets.
I'd be a good waiter because I got good short-term memory. Horrible long-term memory, but with the reporting, good short-term memory.
Right.
So I'd be able to go up there. I would eyeball it from a distance. And if I would say, and then granted, right now, of course, my waiter level, my waiter XP is at 0. Maybe I'm level 1. I was a busboy for 2 days, so maybe that works out. You know what I mean? At Ozzy's, it was at.
I was a busboy for 2 days.
I was a busboy for 2 days at Ozzy's. It's
Okay.
the county seat. Is the restaurant?
Okay.
It's gone now, but it was over there. It's right around the corner from Wayne's where I used to get my hair cut in Wheaton. So there you go. Giving you all the information for your thing.
Got it.
Anyways, right now I feel like I could confidently go up, get your drink order for 4, come back, and then get your meal order and not have to write it down. I feel like I could do it because I get attached to your face.
Okay.
You want he wants a hamburger, no bun, avocado, bacon.
See, you think that, but that's my biggest pet peeve when it comes to restaurants. The second the guy goes, it's all up here, I'm like, this is going to be a roller coaster.
But here we've been together a lot where that's happened and
Yeah.
it hasn't been fucked up.
I mean, it fucks up on me all the time.
Yeah,
Not-
me too.
All the time.
Not for Greg Miller.
Well, it's because you don't order like I do. I'm an
You're right,
idiot
I
when
just want-
order.
You're just like, give me a number 3. Thanks.
Yeah, that's it. That's very easy. When I say like, I want a hamburger, medium well, no bun. Instead of French fries, can I get some sort of side salad? And with that salad, can I have the dressing on the side? Because I don't like when they bring the salad at you and it's literally.
And I would be like, sir,
swimming
you
in
can
dressing.
stop right there. I understand. I have your order
Right.
memorized, but then you go into this narrative about why you want the salad dressing on the side.
Right.
I may be a waiter, but I'm not stupid, sir. I understand what happens.
I just feel like I agree with you. You would have been a great waiter.
Thank you.
You would have been a great
Personable.
server, as they call them.
Yeah.
I think that you're the one thing you would be known for, like your Achilles heel would have been the not writing shit down. Like when everyone talks shit about
But
you.
no, that's what I'm
when
saying.
you were out front and all the other waiters talking shit, like Greg, phenomenal people skills, needs to stop with the fucking backward chair and needs to write some shit down every once in a while.
I'm saying though, I would start slow on the paperless thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not just going to a table of 8 over there, a 2-top as we call it in the industry, as I've learned. Where I want to go over
That's
there
right,
and be
2-top.
like, I want
8
to go
people.
over there and be like, hey,
two
let's
groups of
go.
4.
And I'm just bringing everybody just bacon sandwiches. And they're like, we didn't order bacon sandwiches. We're vegan. And I'm like, I don't know what that means.
But it's good saturated fat.
The problem with Nick, the people like Nick, because I mean, it's
So many problems.
yeah, there is.
Narrow it on the big one.
It blows my mind like how ridiculously intricate you can get with your orders. But you know what you want, and I respect that.
sure.
And it's like once you kind of understand how your head works, like we could all order for you and get 65% of it right.
Sure.
Which is impressive because it's really, really intricate. But my thing with you is when you start ordering, it's when the numbers change. Like if you're just like, all right, I want this thing minus a lot of stuff, that's fine. But when you go, is there any way to get a side salad? They're like, the only salad we have is this other fully priced meal.
Right.
And then you're like, can I get that too? And they give you that look of like,
Do you really want to pay it?
that's 2 entrees,
Right,
sir.
right.
But they don't say that because they're not trying to judge you.
Sure.
That's when you break because like I see you just give up on doing the math in your head. And you always just go to the either yes or no, but it's more of like a figure it out.
No. What Nick's big thing is he'll say it, he'll lock it in, and then we'll go around the table. And by the time that waitress or waiter's like, all right, cool, time to move. And he'll be like, you know what? No, just nix the salad. But I still like the side dressing over here.
You got mozzarella sticks.
They're like, yeah,
So
they're
that's the opposite of a salad.
Right.
You love
Right.
your mozzarella
No,
sticks.
it's because sometimes I break. Sometimes I go to dinner and I'm like, some mozzarella sticks. You gotta have them. You gotta
Right.
sometimes you gotta have some mozzarella
You got to
sticks.
put them
in
on the cheeseburger like I do.
Yeah.
You do. It's
Probably
weird.
fair. But yeah, I think
And I love
that's
it.
what's going to throw Greg off. The other thing about Greg though is Greg flirts with all the moms and they love it.
I do.
You know, Lorraine's out there and she's
Oh, you
just
two
having
must
a
be
grand
sisters.
old time.
And one of them just ancient in a wheelchair.
You're totally gonna be the guy that does the thing that you card the mom every time.
yeah, oh, yeah.
Even though she's clearly 65 years old.
Yeah.
She's like wrinkling away. and has a smoker's voice like B. Arthur, but you're like, no, I'm going to get your ID.
And he just doesn't stop too.
You're only 65? How crazy is that?
He's just like drink after drink, just keeps giving her like glasses of wine.
I know she's paying. I know she's paying.
Every single time he's like, let me see that card again.
Right.
Let me see that card.
Right.
She's just
do I have to do this motion? I don't feel like I'd be doing this motion. I don't feel like this hand thing would be happening. Can I see the card again?
Yeah.
And then, meanwhile, you're back there just taking her in the walk-in freezer.
Oh, yeah.
Just taking her.
And then I give her some of the sleep candy.
I think we can rein it in on the sleep candy.
In your brain, is the sleep candy just a pill? Is that what it is?
No, it's just a mint.
It's a mint.
Yeah,
Okay.
mints.
With just chock full of
It's just what you want to do. It's what I do. Instead of brushing my teeth at night, I take a sleep candy.
Okay, cool. You might have a problem. You might be addicted to.
Yeah, you might.
Nick, what would you be good at?
Well, definitely not serving food or waiting tables. I was terrible at that. And if you want proof, you can go back to my storied resume and history as a waiter and see that I got fired from every job I ever waited at.
Like when you punched the screen that one time.
Like when I punched the screen or when I called my manager a little bitch. He did not like that. I liked it. It was very fulfilling in the moment.
Yeah.
Not so fulfilling when I was filling out my paperwork on getting my last check and leaving and never going back to that place. I don't know. I've never actually thought outside of what I would do in production. I would have to stay in production to some degree because I like this way too much to transition over to anything else. I would just miss it too much. I would like to say I'd probably be pretty good in PR, but I'm a terrible speller. So every press release would be
so half the PR people.
That's fair. Something to do with relations. I think that would be good. Like I don't know, marketing or PR. But I don't know.
You are good at relations. I hear quite often.
I'm not cornholing 65-year-old moms in the walk-in freezer. but everyone's got to have something to aspire to.
It's true.
I think you would be good at PR.
Maybe.
You're right. It's not so much you couldn't talk on camera. It's amazing that we let you do it, but you couldn't do it if you're actually representing a real brand.
You mean they shouldn't allow me to do it?
Yeah, no.
Because I'm like, I can do it.
No, yeah.
It's just
you're the type of guy.
To an interview with the guy that did Deadpool, and apparently the studio doesn't let him go anywhere without one of the producers. Because he just says outrageous shit.
I can imagine that.
I could be that guy.
Yeah.
That's easy.
You're the guy that would piss everyone off because they do interviews with them and then afterwards everyone's like, oh, you can't post that.
I was going to say that's what it would be is that he would go and he'd be having a great interview and then stop it full stop. And I can't say that. Can we dial it back?
Right.
There'd be like 3 restarts and they'd be like, these are all live. I don't know what you want to do, sir.
So you're on TV right now.
So you would need to be the party PR guy. The guy that's just connecting people because you're good at that. You're like, you should know you.
I wouldn't be great at long-term strategy PR, right? Like if you're like Nick needs to be the guy that's going to come up with what is the 2-year plan for Deadpool 2. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be able to do that, right? But when we need someone to go to a party and be entertaining with other people and just make everyone feel like they're having a great time, I'm your guy. Totally, I'm your guy for that.
So okay, let's take this away from the PR thing for a minute. Nick's good at entertaining at parties. Right, that is a fact. If there's one thing I know about him, it's that everybody wants him there. Whenever people are having their birthday parties and shit, the number one question is Nick coming?
Right,
because Nick automatically brings the party up 3 notches.
Sure,
right,
up a notch or 2, 3.
What other jobs could that entail?
Wedding DJ.
That or stripper DJ could have done that too. DJ at the
stripper DJ actually is a really good fit for you.
Let's welcome to the stage, Cherry.
Yeah, it's like
Cherry.
Free. It's like buy 2 lap dances, get 1 free for the next 15 minutes.
Strawberry dreams.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
I think I can rock it.
Containing you to a booth is a good idea.
Either that, or let's be 100% honest. If it's just the 5 of us in this room and no one's listening to this. Something in porn, like directing porn, producing porn, I probably would have been really good at.
I don't think you'd be good at it.
You don't think so?
No.
You think I get too tired of it? Like it would spoil the one joy I have in my life.
No, I think that you're too deep down the hole of porn.
Yeah.
That you wouldn't be able to, kind of properly show the enjoyment of it. Like
That's fair. You think I'd be going too metaphorical?
There's too many keywords to get to the type of porn you would make.
Yeah, but see, that's where I feel like I would thrive, right? In that instead of trying to be mainstream, I would go very niche, like very, very like twisted with it, right? Where it's like just the kind of porn where people get the tip of their toe tickled. You know what I mean? That weird shit where you're like, who the fuck would watch this? I would be.
You're behind the camera on that.
100% like, this is perfect. This is perfect.
Ship it.
I'll do it again.
So you're like how there's the artsy porn?
Yeah.
You're not that guy.
No.
You're the guy. You're the actual equivalent.
It would still look good.
No, it would
be
damn good.
somewhere
Don't get me
between
wrong.
artsy porn and 8mm, where it's like there's some twisted shit happening, but it's beautifully filmed.
Yeah.
But I can get into this, but I'm not sure if this is a film or if this is an actual live footage from a crime.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Either that or all-time goal, if I wasn't doing this, something in the realm. Like I've always wanted to do stand-up comedy. Always wanted to do that. And I don't know why. I find that lifestyle very alluring. Like the idea of touring around, sleeping in shitty hotels, not getting paid anything, and just going out there and talking to people and making them laugh. I've always loved that concept. But I don't think I have the balls for that. That's the problem.
I just worry about your rage.
No,
when
but
you
it's-
do get a heckler and you climb off stage and beat him
rage.
senseless.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
no,
worry about your age.
Oh, no.
Well, there's a problem there too. But I think the rage would be fine because people get famous for fucking up hecklers. So I think that would actually help elevate my stand-up game.
Nick Scarpino, not that funny, but goddamn if he doesn't just jump off the stage and spear people.
Watch him fuck up his own hand
Go
on this
get
guy's
your
face.
manager, sir. He's just here watching the show.
It's very true.
Colin, what would you be good at?
I don't know, some sort of. I want to be a man of leisure, retired, money.
That's not a career.
That's what I'm going to be, is a man of leisure. That's my answer. If I had to have a real profession, I don't know, something in politics probably, but behind the scenes.
Toby Ziegler.
I think I'd obviously be a
Campaign
pretty
manager or
good.
something?
Not. I think I'd be a good strategist.
I think you'd be a
or
great
advisor.
whip.
A whip.
A whip.
Yeah.
Whip.
It's an elected position.
Yeah.
Well, you have to be elected and then you're chosen by your caucus. So I think political strategy would be good. I mean, obviously I was going to be an historian. I think I'd be good at that. I think I think I'd be good at a few things, pretty good at it. Probably maybe even better than what I do now. You know, I think like
can't get any worse.
No, can't get much worse.
Bottom of the barrel.
But in terms of like if I worked for like a big campaign or whatever, I bet you I'd be pretty good at it.
Oh, I guarantee you would.
But you know, like some sort of advisor or some sort of like strategist about like what you should, how to win.
I could see you working for that next libertarian that has no shot of winning, but we're all like right behind. You know what I mean?
No, thanks. I wouldn't work. I would only work for major candidates, of course.
Really? Just Republican?
That's how it works.
Yeah.
No, you don't start on the Romneys before you work your way up. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's something I'd want to do. I mean, obviously, I mean, my dream still is to be a writer, like a real. Like, I am a writer, but like to be, to write for a living, to like write books, and I think I'd be obviously. I think I'd be good at that too. I think it's just a matter of finding the time to do this kind of thing. But if given the option, if they're like, well, can you just map out like what your perfect life would be, like what a perfect life would be for Colin? It'd be like
international man of leisure,
a few $1 million in the bank. Right. That's all. Have like
he's not greedy.
Have some good income come in, $200,000 a year. It's fine.
It's coming off your IRA.
No, I got my IRA.
Maybe own some properties.
Yeah, maybe I own a house somewhere on Long Island, maybe, and I write. And I do very random public appearances to like sign books or something like that. But otherwise, I just live my life and I do whatever I want. And I'm not living like the high life. I'm not traveling over the world. I'm not spending millions of dollars. But I'm comfortable.
You'd be like Catcher in the Rye.
J.D. Salinger.
Yeah. So maybe people have seen you twice. That's it.
Yeah.
No one knows if you're alive or dead. Still,
it's a great J.D. Salinger documentary about someone.
I've been meaning to watch that actually, but
it's pretty good. But yeah. So that would be my ideal life is like just enough money to be comfortable. To own a house, like on property, to make to have some steady income and write or whatever, and to basically just be left alone except for the people that like I like want to hang out with or whatever. Like that would be. And I know it sounds curmudgeonly or whatever. That's like really what I want, and that's kind of still my goal. Like I'm dead serious. Like I want to retire young and like disappear. I really do. Like that's like not a joke, and. And I hope I'm able to do that one.
It's not a bad goal.
Yeah,
it's not a bad goal.
Like people are like, I want to, retire and or like I want to work. I can't imagine not working or like I get bored or whatever. Like I don't. I'm like I'm good. Like I want to work really hard and like make a small sum of money that I can live on and just live a modest life on my own, like with like my family and my loved ones and good friends, and that's cool with me. I'm not like out for fame or for like fortune or anything like that at all. Like it's cool. So. I'm blessed to be able to do what we do, and I think I'm super happy doing it. But if someone was like, you could have this very comfortable life, but you have to give up the fame eventually. I'd be like, that's like the fame, and I use that in quotes of like what we have on the internet. I'd be like, that's fun. Like that's cool.
Yeah, I've always thought. I mean, stories obviously for you would be amazing, but I'd love to see you working for a developer, like writing the story or helping to produce a game.
I do think I will write a game one day.
Thrive in that culture. Either that or you'd go. It would turn you insane. because you like the endless possibilities of the story. You'd be like, I can't do this, and then you enter the Matrix and you'd be gone forever.
Yeah, my thing with it's a cop-out answer to say like, oh, if you weren't doing this, I think you should be a writer. But like, really, I think that your skill is there, and I think specifically about picking something very specific, like your history of developer pieces, right? Taking something specific within a broader whole and like really focusing on it and writing about all of the minutia of it. I think you have a unique skill of that, where it's just like you kind of get in there and you give people all the information that they never thought they'd ask for, but then you make it interesting. And I think that's the real key skill that you have, is that you have a key sense of like telling a story that other people wouldn't even necessarily think is there. You know, like
Thank you.
Sony Bend, right? History of Sony Bend. Who would be interested in that? Then they read it and then they're like, oh, now Sony Bend means something to them. And I think that that's a really cool thing you got going for you.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll be able to talk about it more soon, but you know, I am developing a book. So, and we'll talk more about that soon. I mean, it's off the ground and it's going. So, but I'm not going to talk about it until it's a little further along.
That's exciting.
It's not what anyone's going to think it is. People are getting excited. It has nothing to do with video games, and it's nonfiction. That's all I'll say about it. Yeah.
I think you'd be good at laying track for the railroad.
Thank you.
Tim, what would you do?
It's true.
Appreciate that.
No problem.
I've been
Is he
thinking
out
about
there
this,
steel driving
this a lot, and it's very specific, but I think that I would absolutely nail this. Fireworks programmer at Disneyland.
Yeah, you would kill that job.
Nope.
No way.
What do you mean no?
You need to thrive. You need to be in front of people. You can't go behind the scenes and you just let the sparkles work.
No. Okay. There's a couple things here. I get what you're saying, but I'm talking about like if I couldn't do that. Like that's the thing. It's like I have to give up the whole fame.
Tim's on his way to being an internet sensation.
Yeah.
You're saying we can't do that.
I'm
what
not
else
allowed
would
to
we
do
do?
that.
I'm just saying, like, what I think he would be great at is he would be a good correspondent for the local news. He'd be the excited one that everybody really likes. You're not anchoring the local news, but you're out there like, hey, we're at Millie's Quilt Shop. Hey, Millie, how long have you been working today? Great.
Where's Millie's Quilt Shop?
It was in Columbia, Missouri, and I did cover it for the Columbia Daily Tribune.
Wow. You lived a whole other life before you came to us, Greg.
I feel like that's too close to what I do now. It's pretty much exactly what I am to you.
Okay.
You know, I'm not good enough to be the actual anchor.
No.
So I'm here just fucking excited about things, which is totally fine. I like that.
And Sean Finnegan has mentioned this before, but I shout out to Sean Finnegan.
He likes hiking.
And I totally agree. You would make an amazing studio exec.
I agree.
An amazing studio. Like you're the kind of guy that's like when people go, how the fuck did a movie called The Fast and the Furious get made, and why are there 8 of them now? You look in the credits, and executive producer would be Tim Gettys, because you would put that package together so well, because you'd be like, people are like, Tim, this doesn't make any sense. You're like, no. Or does it? Or does it make all the sense? Take Vin Diesel, take fast cars, make them superheroes, make the story make no sense, but more fast cars, boom, poster, Fast and Furious 8. Done. $1 billion idea.
You're right. But I'm going back to the Disneyland.
Sorry, but you're at Disneyland. You got a
here.
hat on. You're in a wife beater. It's all filthy. You're drinking a Miller High Life while these things explode. Tell me
None
about
of
it.
those things sound accurate
That's like
at
the
all.
carnival, Greg. That's not how Disney rolls.
I don't know. I'm just
they're pretty
assuming.
corporate,
Yeah, no,
actually.
He's behind
to fix your
the
life,
castle
Greg.
facade, hitting the button, and then just.
I want to hit the button. I don't want to do that. I want to actually program it. I want to actually make the show. Because if there's one thing I realize I'm good at, it's hype. I like
You are
the
good at hype.
That's
You are
right.
good at hype.
So it's just like,
Again, maybe stripper DJ.
I mean, that's
DJ at the strip club would be amazing.
DJ,
I'd be pretty good at bringing Cherry out.
Intro's Cherry.
But
Why is this like this? This is. The names are lazy. The delivery is lazy.
Put your hands together for strawberry. Yeah.
yeah. That's it.
What would your fireworks show look like?
I don't know. I mean, it depends on the season, Greg. Don't be stupid.
My apologies.
Obviously, you need to change
Right
it.
now,
It's
we're going
Christmas
into
time
summer.
or whatever. We're going into summer. That means
Stars
you got to go back to the classic thing. So right now they're doing the 60th anniversary shit, which is their default. Now I bring back the Forever show, but I want to make some updates and stuff. But the thing is, it's more about the sequencing. It's more about the like telling a story through this like 20-minute thing with the fireworks and the projections on the stuff and
It
the
goes on
water.
for 20 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The long shows.
God.
Yeah. But or like it doesn't even need to be the fireworks show in particular. Like something like World of Color. Just one of the shows. I think I'd be really good at that shit because all it is making a 20-minute long hype video using things people remember and nostalgia. And I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, cool. That's pretty much my life in a fucking nutshell.
You gonna put Sebastian in there?
He'll make an appearance. You got to have Under the Sea. But it doesn't even need to be Disneyland. That's the thing is like any of this stuff. I just like the idea of fireworks. All it is hype. I don't like 4th of July fireworks. You can
That's
get the
Bush
fuck out
League.
of here.
That's the Bush League.
You need
Okay,
music.
so yeah, bring me. I don't like fireworks. Really think they're
fireworks
dumb
are
and
whatever.
boring.
Let's back
Go
up.
back
Have
a
you
second.
seen it? Have you seen a fireworks show at Disney before?
Yeah, when I was a kid.
Okay.
But when I'm driving
They've
it, you're
gotten
saying
insane.
you don't want to go. You're saying not just Disneyland. Where else would you be doing it? Where else? Are you doing this at the Giants game?
No, because that's the thing. It's not about the fireworks in particular. The fireworks are just a tool that are part of the whole thing, kind of the whole vision.
Yeah.
It's really more about
There's like lasers, there's water that you get to use, there's all the elements. Really.
I'm talking about like I honestly what it comes down to is I want to edit a dope ass video,
Yeah.
music and video,
Right.
to go together, and then all the other stuff just kind of accentuates it. You know, imagine Kind of Funny live with fireworks. That's what I want to do,
Okay.
and make the kids happy.
All right.
Make millions of motherfuckers happy. Happiest
see
place
that.
on earth. I want to be that guy. I want to be the guy making the memories.
We call him Captain Happy.
We will call him Captain Happy from
Prince
now on.
Happy.
No, Captain, I like better.
Okay, fine.
I apologize. That topic made me happy, and it was brought to you by Blue Apron. I actually have used Blue Apron.
You have?
They gave me buffalo chicken sandwiches on my first visit, which I was like, yeah.
What is
they
Blue
know
Apron,
you.
Greg?
Blue Apron's mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone. For less than $10 a meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. New recipes are created each week by Blue Apron's culinary team and are not repeated within a year. Customize your recipes each week based on your preferences. Jesus. Choose delivery options to fit your needs. There's no weekly commitment, so you get deliveries when you want them. Each meal comes with a step-by-step, easy-to-follow recipe card and pre-portioned ingredients that can be prepared in 40 minutes or less. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with shipping by going to blueapron.com/Greggy. You will love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait. That's blueapron.com/Greggy. Blue Apron, a better way to cook. Are we saying goodbye to you, Nick Scarpino?
Yes, we are.
You're going to
Apologize.
VidCon? We'll see you
I'm going
tomorrow.
to VidCon early to see at Scarpino Man for a little bit and hang out with him. So
Maybe we'll be on Midlife Ballers. Maybe we won't. We'll see.
I hope so.
We'll
I hope
see.
so. Thank you. This is a good podcast, guys.
It is.
Thank you.
The last topic's going to be garbage without you, but I love you.
Fair enough. I will see you guys tomorrow.
Garbage
All right.
Without you.
All right, my topic. First off, my topic's brought to you by patreon.com/kindoffunny. Before I even get to those, I want to thank everybody who supported us last month. Tim was getting ahead of it there. There it is. These are all the people who supported us for this. But this topic comes from patreon.com/kindoffunny.
Also, Nick's gone.
No, we said goodbye to him when you were in the bathroom.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Everyone's aware he's gone.
I had a poop.
You okay? You feeling okay?
Feeling better now, thank you.
No problem. Do we have to worry about like an issue? You okay?
I'm
Okay.
I think so.
I don't want it to be one of the bad ones. I know you get the bad ones every so often.
Mm.
This one's brought to you by a very specific Patreon supporter. This is Rick Argomanes, who supported us on patreon.com/kindoffunny. Get his topic read. His topic is fear. What are the things that put your gooch in a twist? Public speaking, clowns, failure, complex carbohydrates. That would have been Nick's. Have your fears ever held you back from doing something you wish you would have done? Thanks, best friends, Rick. Thank you, Rick, for supporting us on patreon.com/kindoffunny to get your topic read. Guys, what are you afraid of?
To get ahead of it, I'm not feeling like I want to get emotional today, so I'm just gonna say losing my family.
Yeah.
That is hands down my greatest fear.
Sure.
Moving past that, I don't know. I don't necessarily know that I have those types of fears, like talking about the public speaking and all of that.
Sure.
It's been interesting for me because obviously I have experience speaking in front of people, but doing it on such a grand scale. Recently, we've had it a lot. Kind of Funny Live, the Final Fantasy event that we did.
Sure.
Let's Play Live. And so many people ask me, like, are you nervous before you go on? And it's weird because I'm not at all. It's definitely like I'm overwhelmed with what would be nerves. There's more excitement. And it's like just adrenaline, you know?
Yeah.
And that kind of like overrides any nerves that would be there. However, this time doing Let's Play Live, we actually had to play games. That got me more nervous than speaking ever would.
Interesting.
I wasn't scared of it necessarily, but in the realm of like, I don't think people are actually scared of speaking for. I guess some people are.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of it, but it did get me way more nervous than any of the other things.
There's an added pressure to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something else that's out of your control, something else to be judged on.
Exactly.
You go out there and you know that you can speak and be funny and move around and you remember whatever point you need to hit.
Yeah.
But in a game, anything can happen.
Yeah, and it was weird because I
Colin Moriarty winning Gang Beast somehow. God damn.
I knew that it was an issue because after I did Murder, it's a Counter-Strike mod.
Yeah.
So it's on PC. My muscles in my forearms were really tense afterwards. And like even the next day it kind of hurt. I was like, damn, I guess I was like really kind of in there.
Now that G is there, you're not working out those forearms as much as you used to.
No. Especially, whatever. I'm not going down that hole. But a couple holes I did go down.
Oh!
Anyways. So yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily fear, but it is that kind of anxiety and just
adrenaline spike.
Adrenaline, but in a scared type of way, you know?
Sure.
What about you guys?
I mean, for me, it's my cancer coming back. I always talk about it that like, I would say I would say I wasn't fearless in a way of like I'm like the man without fear, but I don't worry about death. And I'm on a plane. I'm not worried about the plane going down. I'm not worried about public speaking. I'm not worried about looking stupid in front of people. Because a long time ago I had embraced all that. That I'm going to look stupid in front of a lot of people, and that's just who I am and how that works. And so like, I know that you're talking about your family, but like I'm so distant from my family already. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't want anybody to die or anything like that. But it's not like that. It's more like I think about it every so often. Like, man, sometimes like I'll miss a phone call from my dad that's off cycle. It's not on a Sunday. And I'm like, that could be, I got to check that voicemail right away. That could be something's wrong with him. You know what I mean? That's a weird thought, but it's not a fear as much as it's like, oh shit, that's a reality I live in where I have to be aware of that kind of thing. And that can obviously happen to anybody, but as your parents get older, as you get older, you start to worry more about that, I guess. But again, worry, not necessarily fear, if that makes sense. I don't know. But I always go back to the whole cancer thing of like, when I got cancer, I was so naive about what I was getting into. And I was all like, I was breaking the news in funny ways to people on the phone, and I was put up a funny blog post. I remember telling people crying when I told people at IGN about it. I'm like, don't worry, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? Don't worry, 86% survival rate, da 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 da. And then to get there and go through it and learn about how fucking horrible it was and like how rough chemo was and all the horror stories that I've told over and over and over again, whether it's here or that episode of Dancers over on Giant Bomb and stuff like that. Like to go through all of that and like, a month and a half in when like my third, I guess, well, maybe it's 2 months in, but third or fourth chemo to turn to Christine and break down in tears and be like, this isn't fun anymore. And I'll never forget her going like, when was this ever fun? You know what I mean? But for me, it was this new experience and I was going to do this. And I thought I was going to get to play Vita and not have to worry and not feel bad that I was missing emails or missing work. That it was like, everyone's like, you're approved to go do whatever you do here and fuck off and not worry about it. And then get there and not have it be that. Now if I was to get cancer again, like to know that's what's coming, I would handle it in such a different way. Like I would ghost from here. I would not be a part of it. But like also working through it, gave me something to be motivated for and take my mind off it and make it go faster, I guess. So maybe that's not the right thing either. But those would be the things to struggle with of like going right into it and being like, all right, I need to get a port right away. And I know I'm going to do this. And I know I'm going to be like knowing that knowing what probably is going to happen, that I'm going to get really angry. And like, you know what I mean? Like I'm going to be, I'm not going to be able to control or console myself at times and all these different things. Like that's scary and frustrating. And that's what I'm afraid of is like knowing it. Knowing what I'm up against would be the problem, especially as hard as chemo is and all that stuff. Like if I was to get that, like, well, I mean, a couple, I don't know, months ago now, maybe years ago, it's all such a blur. Like there was a point where I remember my lymph nodes got swollen again. And I was like, I went to the doctor and they already gone back down, but to sit down and go through it and like, it was like that gut check moment where I think I teared up right away when I realized it might be happening again. Whereas like with cancer, you know what I mean? Getting the diagnosis, it was like the first time I read through the paperwork, like before it was an official diagnosis where it was like all signs point to cancer. I remember tearing up, but then it passed. And I was like, all right, I'll be fine. And I looked at Wikipedia, da, da, da. And then the first time I cried with cancer is when I came home from that first chemo and I broke down, in my room between the bed and the bathroom or whatever. And it was just like, fuck, this is going to be a lot tougher than I thought it was. So to know that from the get-go, to have no real hope, you know what I mean? Like that'd be the end. I would be fucking destroyed. And that's what scares me. Colin?
I don't know. I fear a lot of things. I fear my own health issues for sure. Not so much my skin cancer because that went away and that was whatever, but more like my stomach and my colon and stuff like that. Like I do have serious issues and they can get really bad. So, every time you like go and get an endoscopy or a colonoscopy or something like that, and they find something new or you expect that they're going to tell you have like colon cancer or something. Because my grandfather died of colon cancer too, so it's in us.
Is the diagnosis on that still just a shrug?
What do you mean?
I feel like it was misdiagnosed for a while. It came back. It wasn't celiac. But where are we right now? I
have like IBS and I have like stomach ulcers and stuff like that. I just have to monitor it or whatever. It's all mental too. It's like it has nothing to do with the food that I eat. And I don't mean it's mental as in it's like doesn't exist. I mean it's like mentally caused.
Sure.
Because what they I think are realizing is that I can eat whatever. Doesn't matter. Like. Doesn't help probably, but it's not like they're like, what exacerbates it? And I'm like, just stress. It's very predictable. I fear in a way, like I like to win. And I like to like be the best at whatever we like do. So whether it's our podcast or our videos or like when we used to write, and I have a very competitive streak and like professionally and personally. And so like, I don't like to lose and I fear losing and I fear failure. But I think that also bleeds into my personal life where I fear loss just generally. Like I fear bad things happening to me. I have a hard time living in the moment. So like when I have a fantastic relationship, with Aaron, for instance, and like, I fear losing it for no reason, like just because I'm like, this is so much better than everything that I've had and like makes me happy and all that kind of stuff. And so like, you know, you fear losing it, or like same thing with Kind of Funny with like, we're doing so well, you know, personally and financially or whatever. It's like, you fear losing it. I don't live in the moment. So I have a lot of fears of hypotheticals as well that you can't control. The fear that's I think most pertinent to the audience, I think, is probably my fear of like being in public. Like and it's so funny because I don't fear, like people are like, oh, like I'm not like a shut-in. Like I don't mind being out. I can be in a football stadium full of people. I don't care. It's just like, I don't want people to know who I am.
Yeah. When the stadium's there for you.
And I felt that like kind of, it was very lonely actually after Let's Play Live for me, because a lonely feeling because I just didn't want to be there. You know, after like to do the meet and greet or whatever, not because I don't appreciate the fans or whatever, but because I'm like, I don't like this part of it, you know? I don't want to like let people down and disappoint them, or they're disappointed with the version of Colin that's the real Colin or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I just kind of retreated from that. And it makes me sad because like I reflected to this to people in the past, my parents and to Aaron and to others, where it's like, I wish I enjoyed it like you guys enjoy it, because I think it would be fun. It's just like, I enjoy the procedure of getting to that point. And then once we reach that point, I'm like, I'm good. And you know what I mean? Like where it's like, I like doing the
content.
And people are like, are you afraid of like, how do you deal with being on stage? And I'm like, being on stage doesn't bother me. You can't get to me. Like, you know, like I'm doing it for everyone, or like being on camera doesn't bother me at all. I don't care about that stuff. But once I'm surrounded by people in a very unorganized kind of way and they want to meet you or shake your hands or whatever, I'm like, I gotta go. And I definitely felt that overwhelming fear where I kind of like beelined out of there, you know? Mm-hmm. And people definitely like look at you like they want to talk to you or say something, and I'm just like, I gotta go, thank you. Like, you know, and I don't want to be that way, but that's who I am. So I think in terms of like my day-to-day, like as we get bigger in quotes and like get more famous in quotes, I'm going to become more and more reclusive professionally, which I think is the way it is. As people who know me, you guys know me, people know me, like, I have no problem going to a crowded bar or like going to a restaurant with people. Like I don't, what I'm noticing in my real life, and I don't know if you guys notice it too, is like, it's bleeding totally into my real life. Like I'm recognized like often, like outside of like
gaming
conventions or like gaming places.
Yeah,
or when people are in San Francisco where I'm like, I'm eating at a restaurant on the side of, you know, Hayes or whatever, and like a guy stops to say hello to me or whatever, or like I'm in Vegas and just at a casino and a guy says hello to me or whatever, and I appreciate it. Like no one's doing anything wrong, and it's not that I don't appreciate it. It's just like there is part of me that's like, this is only going to get worse, so I have to either learn to enjoy it, which is hard for me, or I have to learn to embrace the fact that like I'm going to lose some of my own freedom by like not being able to do things anymore. Not that I'm like Brad Pitt or anything like that, but like in terms of like going to E3, like I can't have a normal E3. I can't have like a normal Comic-Con. I can't like, and I don't want to sound ungrateful because that's not, you guys know me. That's not the case. It's just, I'm very trepidatious with the outward facing like fame aspect of it, the shaking hands and signing things and taking pictures, whatever. Like I don't know. It's just not for me. So I think that like I fear that, and I fear that component. But I also long to appreciate and enjoy. Well, I appreciate it, but to enjoy that component more as well. But I just don't know that I'll ever get to that point.
Tim, has your fear? I mean, that's a pretty good example for him. But held you back from anything?
Held me back? No, I mean, if anything, like going back to my mom, it's like, you know, that just pushes me forward to do more. You know, and I feel like that. I don't know. It's weird. Fear, it's an interesting thing to think about, because it's like, I'm really trying to come up with like, what am I most scared of? And it's like that, it's definitely my mom and brother, but like that stuff does just push me to be me more than I am, you know, to do better and to make them proud, you know?
Sure.
And kind of create all those moments. I think that really the biggest, like, I'm not really scared of failure, because I feel like, again, all that other stuff just motivates me to keep going. And at least so far it's worked really well. And I feel like, you know, I've surrounded myself with people that want to keep pushing forward and are pulling me up and are pushing me forward and all this stuff. And it's been good. You know, I feel like I've really kind of created a good scenario for me to not have much to be afraid of. And I'm very thankful for that. You know, I'm thankful for people like Kevin who have always been there. And it's like, don't really feel too much need to be afraid of things when I have somebody that I know will catch me.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
And, I guess like really the biggest fear in terms of failure or whatever, it's like I'm more scared. Like I know Kind of Funny's fine. Like I know we're good, like because we are us and we're doing stuff. And I know that I believe in all of us individually and all of us as a whole. My biggest fear is us like getting fed up with each other and like us like wanting to splinter, because the moment we have a Beatles moment where we decide to go solo, I mean that's gonna fuck up everything.
Yeah.
You know, and like that honestly is my biggest fear in terms of us. It's like, is you leaving? Is you wanting to just do your own thing? Because you totally could, you know? And I feel like all of us could do our own thing, but you are the one that, like, if you decided to say, fuck it, I'm just doing me, you'd be great, you know?
No, it wouldn't. It's a cart and horse thing.
And I believe that too. I mean, trust me, I know. Like,
I would
I
have
know
the opportunities I have
know
without
what we
you guys.
all do for each other, and I know that it totally is we all benefit and help each other and pull each other up and all that stuff. But it's like, the moment that you're not fully behind me is going to be horrible, and I don't ever see it happening. But that is my fear. You know, if I was to be scared of something, it specifically would be you leaving us.
Sure. No, that's a great example. I worry about Colin leaving or us getting fed up with each other and getting in a giant fight about something stupid. And then we, you know, that this gets all fucked up, because it is that thing where we're all friends. And so there is that part where it's the business side and the friendship side. And like, I think we escalate and yell quicker than we should and treat each other differently than we should if it was like, we got hired out at a place. But here we are in the muck and the shit right now. The 5 guys who are.
Do you really worry about me leaving? I'm not going to leave.
I worry about you and I getting into, you know, irreparable harm arguments and stuff like that, where we say something stupid, and that's a big thing. I mean, we all have to learn how to talk to each other. We're not good at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna leave. I'm loyal. Like that's
No,
the
I know you're loyal. No.
That's the thing I take a lot of pride in, is like, for all the negative aspects that I guess I have, which is, you know, some I guess, but I am a loyal person, and like I do what I say I'm gonna do. So, you know, I founded this company with you guys, and I'm not gonna go anywhere. You know, you might kick me out one day, but you know, I'm gonna have a nice little golden parachute that Kevin will help pay for. Thanks, Kevin. So, you know, that's could anything happen? I suppose, yeah. But this is what I do, you know, and I feel in a much more stable and emotionally happy place than I've been in a long time. I think it shows. I mean, I'm always gonna be Colin. I've always been Colin since you've met me, but I think that I'm in a good place where. But my fear, like that's the thing, is like I want to win. I like to win. Like that's what I really like to do. And like I wouldn't have done PS I Love You, for instance, like, and like really helped push for that if I didn't think we were gonna be number one. Like I wouldn't have been so over the top with our Patreons and like really like supported this thing that you guys wanted to do, even though it didn't make much sense to me if I didn't think we could be the biggest Patreon or like to make the most money or whatever, you know, like on Patreon. Like I like pushing everything to the extreme in terms of that way where like we are dominant in some way. And I think I like that. I think I add to that. So like I would feel like if I were to ever leave that it would not be the right look for me or the right look for all of us. I would never do that to the company, because could you survive without me? Yes. You wouldn't be able to do maybe PS I Love You anymore and stuff like that, but like, or you'd have
the show would look dramatically different.
Right.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be as good. Everyone knows that. But I feel like I the additive nature of what I bring to the table, especially with like my expertise, my knowledge of games and all those kinds of things, I think like that's not right. Like any more than like if Tim left and we lost his business acumen and his ability to do these shows and stuff like that, it would suck for everyone. And you like, would he do that to everyone? Like that's my whole thing, is like, I wouldn't do that, you know, unless I became like truly miserable. And even though we play it up a lot, I'm not miserable at all. So it's like, you know, you don't have to worry about that. You know, yeah. Are things getting more real between everyone? Yes. But I think that's the nature of being together all the time. And I feel like that's, that's why like, I just think that we don't manage our time properly, you know, like, and we don't manage like the way we're together properly. And that's things we've talked about in the past, like where those things can be alleviated by just being together less, you know, then you want to be with each other. Then you want to see Kevin and Tim and me and, you know, like,
sure.
So it's like,
well, I think having a fucking office is going to help.
I think so too.
We'll be able to check out.
Yeah,
I think
I'm
done with work today. I'm going home. I don't have to see everybody.
What's funny to me is it's like, you know, our job is communication. Our job is literally talking to each other. And I feel like we're so bad at it. Every Monday, 9 a.m., love and sex stuff. It's about communication, every relationship. And it's just like, it's so funny that somehow we're so bad at it on an individual basis. And when you put all of us together, it's just like even worse, you know? And I feel like that just kind of makes it all really bad, where it's like, it's not even so much that the time together is bad, just that when the time together gets so strenuous, it's like, then we don't want to be with each other. Then it turns into like you know, one person says one thing that hits you the wrong way. And then it's like, all right, do I engage or do I just let it happen? You know, and that's, it gets really complicated. I do think an office is going to help a lot. But again, that's what really kind of goes back to the fears of like, what are the steps that cause things to crumble? How do I avoid that?
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like I've had to think about that a lot more than I would have ever wanted to, or I'd much rather focus on how do we build instead of how do we not destroy,
But both are important.
They are.
Both are
you
equally
can't
important.
build without the foundation, but then it gets rough. It gets like really rough. This whole thing, I've never expected so many of the issues that we have to have come up, and I have to deal with them. Is like, it's a lot,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm scared that eventually something will come up that I won't be able to deal with because it is out of my hands. I mean, that's the thing, is like when we're dealing with 5 people that have completely different, perspectives, and they all believe more than anything that they're right, it really becomes a matter of who's going to fight for it the most. And when you fights cause problems,
Yeah.
What I found in self-reflection for myself is a few things with our company. A is that like I don't think it's as bad as it seems. Like when we talk about these things and people are like, oh, they're falling apart. It's like, no, we're not. Like it's just the reality of business, especially when you mix business with pleasure, or business with friends, or business with real life things. But in my own way, like the things that I can control, like I've tried to control them more, and I think it works, at least for my own tranquility. Whether or not it parlays into like the betterment of the company, I don't know. But like obviously I don't like traveling, I don't like going to events or whatever like that. But I've really, and I slip up every once in a while, but I like at E3 and Let's Play Live, I really tried my hardest to not say that I didn't want to be there. To not say, like, to not be like, I can be doing something else. Like I try like putting out the more positive or just neutral energy, being like, I'm here. And I was talking to someone about where I realized like I kind of just go along. Like I think I might, even though I bitch sometimes, like I might be the easiest because I ask for the least. So like I think in terms of like what everyone wants to do, like you want to go to this convention or cover this game, and I'm like, I just want to do what you guys want to do because I want everyone to be happy. So like with Kind of Funny Live or whatever, it's like that's Tim and Nick's show, and tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it, And I even tried to like make it easier for that. Like I remember talking to Tim and being like, well, you don't have to worry about my lip sync battle because I'll just do the Mega Ran rap, so you don't have to worry about that. But he wanted me to do both, so I'm like, okay, like or like with E3, it's like I would have covered E3 from home, but Greg really wanted to go down, so I'm like, okay, I'll do that kind of stuff. But I realized also like it's a choice to succumb to those things, and so you have to, if you're gonna do it, then you can't make people feel bad that you did it. Like it's not really fair. So so I try to put out that kind of more neutral or positive energy where I'm like, yeah, it's like fine, as opposed to like kind of kicking me, kicking and screaming as if I'm not a man with free will or something like that. And
I need more of that.
And although I'm not going to like any more events anytime soon, but that was just something I try to be more cognizant of, because I just feel like a high tide raises all boats kind of mentality,
I mean, that's my biggest complaint with you is your negativity. So yeah, I need you to do more of that for me, because that is what beats me down and makes me not want to be around you or work around you. And I'm not, I know the anxiety is a different issue and this is a different issue, but yeah, when it is like, you don't like E3 and you keep saying you don't like E3, then it is like, I get it. You know what I mean? Like this is the one thing, and I'm not saying this isn't a critique of you not liking E3. I'm just talking about in terms of negativity. Like that is something that hurts me. It deters my performance. It brings down my performance in things or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm glad you addressed it. I'm glad you're working on it. I'm glad you're actively with it. But yeah, I think that's something that, it matters for all of us, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is. It's a group thing. It kind of lowers the whole group. I guess it's the lowest common denominator thing, where it's just like, if the idea of, we're just using E3 as an example, but if the energy going in E3, if me and Greg are up here and you're here,
and Nick is like, Nick vacillates.
Nick is the wild card, where it's like, Nick feeds off of the lowest common denominator. Always. And that's,
you always call him devil's advocate.
He's Mr. Devil's Advocate. And it's just like, that's just the way he is, because Nick thinks a certain way, and usually that way is very realistic about stuff. And it's just like, when someone has a valid complaint, he's like, that's a valid complaint. And then he'll go on to it. And you have valid complaints all the time. Me and Greg just most of the time pretend they don't exist and just keep pushing forward. You know?
I don't think it's a lot of I don't think it's so much negativity as it is like, I mean, it is negativity inherently, but it's also like realism. Like I think I'm just the realist. Yeah. And so it's like, could it be tempered? Sure. But like, I think part of pessimism is looked at as like this negative trait, and I don't think it necessarily is. I think it's like the half glass full, half glass empty thing. It's like who sees the problems and dwells on them, and who like pretends the problems don't exist. Both of those things are wrong, But like that's just one or the other. It's like rarely that like someone's actually in the middle, and like sometimes the glass is half full and sometimes the glass is empty. It's just a really mentality.
Yeah.
So
I think the difference there though is it's just like, even though there are problems, we're like, how do we fix them? How do we get above them? And then like, at least so far when you look back at our track record, every single thing, there's a million valid complaints and concerns. And we've just been like, all right, we're going to either not address those and just keep pushing forward, or here's a solution to those. Let's go forward. Yes, it's a little extra work, but look at what we get from it. You know, I think E3 is a perfect example. We fucking killed it. Killed it. Do I have some things I'd change for next year? Yeah. They're very minimal though.
No Kevin.
We need Kevin for sure.
No, more Kevins.
More Kevins.
More Kevins.
If you guys have more Kevins out there, let us fucking know.
But yeah, I mean, to me, it's like, yeah. So like, I get these different kind of fears and these different kind of anxieties, whatever, because I kind of share them. But you know, I think one of the things that I've tried to do cognizantly in this company to quell my own fears and also like my own anxieties about control and stuff like that is like, I think I've relinquished almost all control. I think I'm the most powerless of the four of us in terms of like what we do and the direction we go and all those kinds of things. And I think that's kind of a voluntary thing, you know, like
trusting your advisors.
Yeah, in a sense of like being like, the other three people are, I think Nick and I are like way more simpatico than I think a lot of people realize in a lot of the things we do and like, and the way we look at things. But
that Italian blood.
But well, it's just like, I think Nick is way more on my end of the paradigm than you guys. But again,
I think that's because you're on that side. I do think that if you were higher, he would be, just because that's the realist in him.
Nick's
Maybe.
The
I've always known Nick like that, but I don't know that, you know, whether it's, you know, in more positive days. I mean, I knew Nick like that too, but
Porty.
But and I mean mentally positive, not that things aren't positive. But I feel like I've tried to just relinquish control in the sense that like I would pull us in totally different directions, and that's not the consensus. So like you have to kind of respect that you're the minority, and still pull your weight. It's like a game plan in a football game. The quarterback might want to play a different spread, but this guy, but the coach and the team, like they play better when they play West Coast offense or whatever. And so you play West Coast offense, even though you might not be the best at that, because like you're still direct moving towards the win as a unit, as opposed to like showing a lot of resistance. So stop.
Lola.
What are you even barking at?
Lola.
So yeah, I've tried to like so I think that's like one of the things, like, but with relinquishing control and having no real, like I don't really chart the course at all. So it's like, so there comes a lot of trepidation or fear with that as well, where like you don't really know what the future holds or whatever, but like you also have to realize that like I played my hand the way I wanted to play it. So, you know, but this sounds way more dire than it is, really isn't, you know, from my perspective.
I mean, the topic's about fear. I don't think it was going to be super like, yeah.
But yeah, so like I don't really have any fears about the company, because I really do think that like, I mean, I have fear that like, I mean, we're very financially successful, we seem to be individually happy with our lives. I mean, I guess, I mean, I don't presume to know, but so I think that like the fear comes from just being able to sustain it and grow it in a responsible way and make sure that like we're doing the best work that we can do. And that's way more important to me than the traveling and the meet and greets and all that kind of stuff. Is like, is the content good? Like, that's all I really care about. Like, if people are enjoying the content and like it and they want to come back and watch the videos, then I'll gladly like cede all of the meet and greet fame to YouTube. That's fine with me. You know, like, and I think that's like,
I think that's kind of what content's the most important to all of us.
But I think that's like what the kind of the conclusion that I've come to is like, I'm good. Like, and I think that someone was talking to me about it, like they were like, your elusive nature makes it so that when you do appear, it means more too. And I'm like, yeah, it'll be funnier that way. If like literally in the future, all I'm at is like Kind of Funny Live. That's the only way you can see me. You can sell tickets that way.
VIP tickets to just finally meet Colin.
Yeah.
Only for 50 people.
There'll be
one
more
person.
VVIP.
Exactly. The very, very important people to go see Colin. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the GameOverGreggy Show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 3 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindoffunny. Toss us a few bucks and you'll get every episode early, along with some exclusive perks and goodies. If you have no bucks to toss, no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindoffunny, where we post the show topic by topic, day by day, until it gogoes up as one big MP3 and video. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.